And I'm Max.
And this is
Dango Duo. Hey there. We're irrelevant YouTubers, and we're here to talk about things we know nothing about, or rather limited about.
Yep.
Today, we're bringing you a video chosen by our patrons.
You guys. Some of you.
Every month we put up a poll, and our patrons vote on the topic of the month. And the theme this month was top tiers.
Tiering.
And the patrons decided that we should rate.
Unanimously decided, by the way.
Unanimously decided we should rate the Final Fantasy games, and thus here we are.
I'm sorry.
No, we're not. Guys, we have 100%ed every single one of these games. We
definitely know everything about all of these games.
We are absolutely credible. No. Accountable? No, we're not accountable.
No.
We are the right people to be making this video. There's no one else. I don't think anyone else's opinion matters as much as the two of us. Really, there's two of us on screen, so that's like 200% more opinion, and I think that makes us way better than regular people, you know? Mm-hmm. Instead of there just being one bloke, why did I say bloke? Instead of just one bloke on the screen telling you...
I think you've been spending too much time with Arizona.
It's true. It's true. And the rest of my gang on the gaming Discord.
The Monhun crew.
Yeah, the Monhun crew. Hey, so, in case you don't know, Patreon is the #1 way to support us. Patreon.com/Dango Duo. We do monthly polls. And also, we do special snippets of new LPs and release videos early to our patrons. If you like our content, please consider supporting us.
Link in the description and somewhere.
With that being said, what's the format for this video gonna be like? Well, we're gonna go through the games in pseudo-chronological order, ranking them into one of 5 different tiers. Tiers ranking from S to D. Which stands for?
By the way, I named them.
You didn't come up with them.
First things come to my head. Superb. Awesome. Bare minimum. Came close. And don't.
and that's gonna be our ranking system. Pretty much, there can be any number of games in one particular category, but basically considering our feelings and the way we feel about the game and our particular histories with them, we'll be ranking them accordingly.
Or whatever Google search picks up first of all the characters from the games we don't know about.
I got some Dissidia art, so I should be able to give you a pretty good view on the protagonist and antagonist, at least of the core games, up until we make it to the really weird ones. The algorithm is in this list, so we'll see how it ranks against Final Fantasy VII.
By the way, we're only doing most strictly Final Fantasy games.
If you like Romancing Saga or Secret of Mana, get out of here, because it's not on the list, doesn't count.
We are doing the
Mystic Quest is not on this.
We are doing most of the spin-off games that are actually Final Fantasy ones.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, the most comprehensive list we could think of.
All the good ones are here. All the good ones. Even World of Final Fantasy is here, so that's fine.
It's fine.
Hey there, in case you don't know, Final Fantasy is a series of role-playing games originally developed by Square, now Square Enix.
Was it Squaresoft, or was it just...
Squaresoft, you're absolutely right.
Thank you.
Or all the way back on the Famicon, like 1985, what?
I just forgot. Does Kingdom Hearts count as Final Fantasy?
Are we doing all Kingdom Hearts games?
Well, let's just put Kingdom Hearts in one team. Don't worry.
I know where to put it.
Yeah.
And I'll put Kingdom Hearts, because technically you could say it's a Final Fantasy game. Oh man, we're doing edits live on stream, Jesus.
We were prepared.
And I'll give you the really quick... This could also be considered as a trivia episode, maybe, I don't know. 169 things you should know about Final Fantasy series.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of things, but...
We don't know that many things.
I could come up with at least 69 things. I don't know about 169. So, the original Final Fantasy series, it was released by Square...
The original Final Fantasy.
The original Final Fantasy was released on the Famicon in 1985. I forget. Listen, this is not about facts. This is about cool things you might not know. And the reason why it's called Final Fantasy, originally the creators wanted to call it Fighting Fantasy, but those of you who don't know, Fighting Fantasy is the name of a series of choose-your-own-adventure books in America, so they couldn't get the license for that. And considering how they were in financial trouble at the time, Squaresoft decided to name it Final Fantasy.
As their last big hurrah.
As the final big hurrah.
And then it took off, and they're fine now.
Unbeknownst to them, that would go on to sell...
Bajillions.
Pancakes.
Mm-hmm.
Selling like pancakes.
Hotcakes.
Selling like quick breads. That's a joke for nobody.
No.
So we're gonna take it from the top. There's a lot of games to go through. So don't hate us if we don't spend 50 minutes talking about Final Fantasy V.
Or 1. I mean, you could actually talk about 1, but...
So first up on the list is Final Fantasy 1!
Or just Final Fantasy, because I didn't know it was going to be a series at the time, obviously.
Yeah. So, Kitty, just by looking at the protagonist, the hero of light, and the antagonist, Garland, where would you put this?
I'm bored.
Are you bored? Kitty, the antagonist is called Garland.
Bored.
Are you bored? Is it because it's a boy? That's super fair. Is the hero of light is actually gender neutral?
Fair.
Yeah.
It's just they're so... excuse my joke. Horny.
That's fair. They both have horns. That is true. I think it makes the most sense for the original Final Fantasy to be bare minimum.
That's fair.
I think that should be the bare minimum.
Also stands for be boring. So there we go. Today, you've learned about the letter B.
Today's episode is brought to you by the letter B.
Can stand for many things.
I've beaten the Final Fantasy 1 several times on the GBA as the Dawn of Souls version and on the PSP as the Anniversary version. I like the PSP the most. It looks way better. That's the mobile edition you can get on your phone right now. I think the game plays pretty well. It's really basic. You can make your own party out of 6 classes. Fighter, monk, thief, black mage, white mage, red mage. So it has a lot of combinations. You can fuck yourself by having no magic in your party. So I'm sure a bunch of kids ruined their Final Fantasy experience doing that. Fair. I think it's a bare minimum. It's not a very long game, and it has, plot-wise, a couple of really funny things. It involves time travel and a time paradox. And the first bad guy you fight, it turns out to be the final antagonist of the game, and that I always thought that was pretty cool. Another game in this list will go back to that particular plot thread, but before we do that, I think we're looking in Final Fantasy 1 as bare minimum. I think it makes the most sense.
Are you gonna write it down?
Oh, I should actually write it down. Hold the iPad.
We have a cheat screen because spoilers. I haven't played most of these games.
No, you're 100% all of them.
But I will.
I
will completely subjectively rate them. Don't worry.
Does Vagrant Story count as Final Fantasy? That's the game that takes place in the Final Fantasy 12 universe retroactively?
No. If it's retroactive, it doesn't count.
I mean, Kingdom Hearts retroactive. No, it's actually it's a Final Fantasy game.
It's a Final Fantasy game.
What about Final Fantasy 2, released on the Famicom not so long afterwards?
That's better.
Here we have...
This guy's gay.
Yeah, the
antagonist?
The king of Polymesia?
He's gay.
Isn't that a JoJo design?
That's yeah.
I love that we have a hot-blooded protagonist kind of look for the main guy. I forget what his name is. I think
they've all got pearls and shit.
Yeah. The Yoshitaka Amano, because he did the original designs.
We have an art book by him.
We did, yeah, and they kind of adapted it very well for this.
For the we're looking at the city art.
We're looking at the city art because it's the. It's all
congruent.
Thank you. It's all in the same art style, so you can actually just judge them for their own.
Until we get to more.
Kitty, where would you put Final Fantasy 2 just looking at these character designs?
I guess it would be either A or B.
You think so?
Yeah. The character designs are interesting, and I assume they up the game from 1.
Final Fantasy 2 is very much like Legend of Zelda Link's Adventure, in which it changes a bunch of things that are key to the game. For instance, in Final Fantasy 2, you play as 4 orphans. I forget. They have no families anymore, and you're playing as them, and there's a revolution going on, and Final Fantasy 2 is known for having 2 weird systems. One is the keyword system, in which when you're talking to people, certain words are highlighted, and you can actually ask them further about those words.
Oh, yeah, that's cute.
You actually need that to advance the story. Like, you actually need to find out names, and actually talking to people actually
I feel like that's
something.
actually really influenced modern gaming.
Yeah. It's and this was still in the 80s.
That's
so the other thing is that this has like a Skyrim / Elder Scrolls leveling system in which what happens or what your characters do affect their stats.
Oh right, or like in Pokemon.
Absolutely, like Eevees, absolutely. So this actually led to a game breaking or not game breaking, but also like an exploit in which. Fun fact: if you have your own characters attack each other, your HP goes up.
Oh.
So you can just beat yourself up until you have 999 HP.
Fair.
So don't mind the trash truck is coming to get us because they know. Because they know.
They know.
I would actually. Aside from that, it gets a lot of bad rep, but I think those mechanics are particularly interesting.
Well, I think it probably gets bad rep because it's not the first one.
It's not the first one. Just like Link's Adventure, because like Legend of Zelda, the original on the NES, or Famicom, it was so
revolutionary, literally.
And the follow-up wasn't that.
Exactly. So people didn't like it.
I would put it under bare minimum or came close. I do understand it has shortfalls, and I think if something comes close, I think it would be Final Fantasy 2.
Bare minimum.
Yep.
Or comes close.
You want to do bare minimum or come close?
You've played it more than I do.
I played. I would say came close.
Mm-hmm. It's got enough to you should play it, but maybe not. Like
I don't know.
Get it when it's cheap.
I don't know if those two mechanics are like
worth it.
Cool enough. But now let's move over to Final Fantasy 3, originally released again on the Famicom. This is 3. On the Famicom and then re-released on the 3DS. Our main protagonist is the Onion Knight, and our main antagonist is the Cloud of Darkness, who is real sexy.
Which one's the one that got released on the DS?
Final Fantasy 3.
Oh, you said 3DS.
Oh no! Final Fantasy 3 on the DS.
I have that one then.
Yeah. Do you actually have it? I thought...
Yeah, I didn't get very far.
Yeah.
Is that a girl or...
Well, the Onion Knight, because in Final Fantasy 3, you play as 4 orphans, again, of course, because being an orphan is the key to...
Is the coolest thing in the 90s.
Well, Batman, actually, he's still rich, though.
He was
but
orphaned, but
orphaned, yeah, still. In Final Fantasy, the CDI is shown up as to be a boy, but in the game, it's actually 1 girl and 3 boys. I'll touch more on the mechanics, but the funny thing I wanted to say is that in Final Fantasy the CDI NT, which is the crossover game for the PS4/arcades, the story is that the Onion Knight wants to get in the pants of the Final Fantasy 14 girl, but Vaughn from Final Fantasy 12 keeps cock-blocking him. It's so good.
Vaughn is a good cock-blocker.
He's really good at it! We'll get to Vaughn in a second. The shtick with Final Fantasy 3 is that it has classes. This is the very first instance of class switching in which basically you have a set of jobs, and those jobs unlock more jobs as you practice them. If you start up with a white mage, you can eventually become a white wizard, which was in the original game. But here you have a progression of learning new skills as opposed to just buying spells.
Right.
And you get more complex skills like Dark Knights and Time Wizards and stuff like that. And this was the very first game that let you do job switching and also having a secondary job, similar to what you would do in Dungeons and Dragons with multi-classing.
That seems like that is up the game quite a bit.
I actually, because you can tell, the systems in Final Fantasy 2 didn't sit well with a lot of people. So this is Final Fantasy 1 leveled up.
Right.
A lot of people don't like it, mostly because it's an old RPG in a new RPG world.
Like I couldn't really play it much.
Yeah. But I actually think it's pretty good, and the job switching is pretty good, and the DS version is actually
nice.
It gives the orphans story, which is more than no story.
Yeah.
And
it does have a story.
And in case you're wondering, the Onion Knight, they're called that because in the original game you start out as Onion Knights, which is kind of like the default class. In the DS remake, you start as freelancers, and you can learn the Onion Knight class, which is wearing this red armor, and it's kind of cute.
Cool.
Got special abilities and stuff like that.
Would be better if it was both girls, but...
Yeah, there's only 1 girl and 3 boys, and that's not a good ratio. It should be at least 1 to 1.
Should be at least even.
At least even. Kitty, considering, the Color of Darkness is hot, I would put it as bare minimum. I think it's right up there with Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah.
I think it's a standard... I think it's Final Fantasy 1, plus 1, but it's not enough to make it awesome.
Fair.
Yeah, would that be... I was about to write with pen. Jesus. That's a bad idea for this rating system.
Yep, I go with B.
Yeah.
B class, B tier.
And now we are moving on to what some may refer to as one of the greatest Final Fantasy games of all time. There you go. We have Final Fantasy IV with our protagonist, Cecil, who starts as a Dark Knight and eventually becomes a paladin throughout the story, and Golbez.
Is this the best Final Fantasy? I'm bored.
Are you looking at this beautiful bishy boy in the form of Cecil?
Yeah.
Fun fact. So, as you notice here, Final Fantasy II leveled up the gameplay, but people didn't really particularly take to it.
Is this one of those, like, Star Trek movies things where the odd ones are good and the evil ones are shit? Or I think it's the other way around?
Not in this case, because this people like the job system, but there really isn't much story. This Final Fantasy IV is all about story. You don't change classes. People come in with their own classes, which are archetypes of Final Fantasy by this point.
Fair.
Cecil starts as a Dark Knight, and his story revolves around him, because he's basically a goon for the big empire, basically. And he kind of comes to terms with, the reality of what they're doing. Final Fantasy games are all about crystals, and in Final Fantasy IV, you start with stealing a kingdom's crystal, which is in turn destroying their land.
I was gonna say, that sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah, and you're playing as through the story he becomes a paladin, and actually the sequence in which you actually become a paladin is one of the coolest things ever. It's a very this is the first game with active time battle, in which you actually have to time your attacks. It was very clever for the time. It has a character betraying you within the first hour. It's very story intensive. There's a romantic self-blood with your character and Maria. And this is the game that has the theme of love, which is one of the greatest Final Fantasy songs of all time. It's all about characters die, characters leave and come back. This is what's so I think one of the best Final Fantasies, because it's actually fully dedicated to the story. And yes, for this tier system, we're counting the after years, which actually expands the story of the game.
Damn, it's got a story expansion.
Yeah. Which is weird. It also has a prequel game. If you buy the PSP version of Final Fantasy IV, it comes with a prequel game and a sequel game where you actually play as the children of the main characters.
Right, Final Fantasy is convoluted. Never forget this.
Never forget. Oh yeah, wait until we get to Kingdom Hearts. So Kitty, just considering the facts we just gave you, where would you put this game?
At least an A.
You would put it in awesome? A part of me, I would, if we had it, we might hold in the iPad for
fair.
Signals. I would put it between bare minimum and awesome. I really like Final Fantasy IV, and I think it would be a disservice to it to put it in bare minimum, because I think it just goes that far.
Yeah.
Above Final Fantasy, so awesome. Final
agree.
Fantasy IV is awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Also, I know that you were just like, oh, are the even ones bad? Well, here we have Final Fantasy V, released in the Super Famicon, with our protagonist, Butts.
Nice.
And the antagonist, X-Death.
Dope. Alright.
I actually really like X-Death's design. He's huge. Yeah. He's actually like a giant. And we have Butts, also known as Bartz in the American re-release of this game.
No, Butts. His name is Butts.
Butts is so good as a name for a character.
Honestly.
Japan doesn't get it. Japan has no idea. But it's great.
Or do they? I think they might.
Maybe they... I don't know. By this point. Kitty, just looking at the character designs, where do you put this game? He looks really sad in this image.
He does look very sad. I wish I could see, the antagonist's full scale.
He's huge. He's wearing, this full suit of armor, has, a sash,
and again, very
big-ass
horny
sword.
designs.
Very
horny.
Back
to the horniness.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, it's alright. Middle of the road.
Middle of the road. The thing that makes this game weird is that it brings back the job system from Final Fantasy III and expands on it by having a fuck ton of classes.
Okay.
A bunch of them, and a bunch of really weird ones that never came back again. I think Bard is in this game, Barbarian is in this game.
Wow.
It expands.
And I thought 10-2 was the one that had stupid classes that never came back.
No. 5 is the one that has the stupid classes that never came back.
Fair.
This is the one that has the stupid ones. And I think it also has the really stupid summoning system. I think it really...
We'll get into stupid summoning systems,
we'll get into...
I know.
I think this is the one that actually... 4 started the summoning system with a character that was actually a summoner.
Oh, fair.
5 gets a little bit of bad rep, mostly because it came between 4 and 6, which are really high up there.
Yeah, I've heard about 6.
Yeah, I believe 5 is also the introduction of Chocobos?
They were in the game to begin with?
No, they were in 2, I'm lying. There's a big fat Choco in 2.
I was gonna say,
lying.
I'm like...
Moogles come in 6, but we're not there yet. The class system, it was really complex. It never got re-released, that's why it doesn't get a lot of love. Fair. It only came out on on PlayStation 1.
Oh, jeez.
No, Super Famicom, but America didn't get it until PS1? I forget. Don't quote me on that. Interesting character systems. It actually has a story in which, and spoilers, I won't tell you who, but you actually have a death of a main character, not Butts, but someone immediate to the story actually dies in a super heroic way, and it's actually really cool. Everyone is like, oh, but that character from Final Fantasy VII, and I'm like, Final Fantasy's been doing death for way longer than that.
Yeah.
Don't let your perception of facts change the reality. Unlike us, our perception defines everything. The world lives and dies by how we see it. That was way darker than I imagined. Kitty?
Middle or B or C, I guess.
I would actually say came close.
Yeah.
I think Final Fantasy V
I see what
close.
it's trying to do, but why would you take a step back from something that everybody loved?
Yeah. The story is very pivotal to Final Fantasy, which brings us to Final Fantasy VI.
It's the theater one.
Pretty much, honestly. It is the one that has the play sequence on it.
Yeah.
Our main protagonist. People say that Terra is the protagonist. I would actually argue that she really isn't the main character. I would say Locke is the main character, but whatever, it's fine. It's one of those situations in which, like...
I'll take that female representation, though.
Yeah, it's one of those situations in which, like, the main character the main male character that gets introduced kind of overshadows everyone else. But whatever, it's fine. Tara, it's on the cover of it. Ironically, they drew her with blonde hair for the CDA when she has canonically green hair, but whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
And our main antagonist is Kefka!
Oh, that's where Kefka's from.
Yeah, he's from 6.
He looks like a kabuki actor.
Yeah.
That's probably what they were based on.
Yeah, and Kefka is the first antagonist in Final Fantasy that is actually just... I don't want to say a sociopath, but everyone up to this point has been a magical, powerful creature, and Kefka's actually just
an asshole.
He's just an asshole.
Fair.
And that was actually a very nice change of pace. Fun fact, Kefka's laughter is reused in Chrono Trigger. When you hear the sound that goes like rah, 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 that's actually Kefka's laugh reused.
Fair.
This game is all about story.
Yeah.
Jesus. This is the first time in which Final Fantasy goes from just being a fantasy to being kind of a combination of other genres. We have it post-apocalyptic with science fiction elements in the fact that the opening sequence has Terra on a walking mech.
Dope.
And it has, of course, Terra's theme, which is one of the greatest Final Fantasy themes of all time.
So you're saying it's Metal Gear?
A weapon surpass Magitech. It does a bunch of really weird things, and this is the one that puts summonings in the forefront. Final Fantasy X and 9 and 10 would do this.
Yeah.
But 6 did it first, where it's literally like, in order to gain summonings, you have to pretty much slay them.
Interesting.
But actually destroy them asunder, and it brings a lot of themes, especially because this is like the 90s now, and Final Fantasy VII will bring this to an absolute ridiculous conclusion, but the idea of like destroying the world in the expense of humanity's advancements. And I think this is one of the first times. No, Sid actually is friendly in this game, but there's a lot of technology. There's high-tech technology,
right.
like actual flying ships everywhere, and you have a huge cast of characters. This is the first time, and I think the only time, where you have a Moogle in your party.
That sounds right, actually.
He's one of the secret characters. You can also get a Yeti. This has a ninja in it called Shadow, and he's pretty cool.
That's a pretty typical name for a ninja, though.
A huge... wouldn't he be the prototypical ninja, though? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with ninja culture, so I don't know how... this is the first time I saw a ninja like that, so once again, my perception painting everything I know. There wasn't... I don't remember... I think this is the one in which you equip summonings to a character to give them skills. I think that this is the one that does that.
Okay. Doesn't sound great, but...
Yeah, well, it's not the worst thing. Is that instead of going through a bunch of equipment settings, you're just like, okay, you're gonna hold the Magicite, basically, for Shiva. And that lets you learn spells off of her. Learn Blizzard and other stuff.
Oh, but you can equip it to other characters?
Yeah, you can move them around. It's not like Final Fantasy 12 where you're locked forever. Yeah, no, it's got a bunch of summonings, and that's how you learn skills, I think. Don't quote me on it. This is the one that has... a ghost train and a character who can suplex that ghost train.
You've shown me this.
And I think that's the only thing you've seen of Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the play sequence, which
I've
is
seen a little bit
one of the famous ones. I would gladly. I mean, just looking at those character concepts, Kitty. I mean, female representation.
I'm up in A category at least.
At least A. I would, because I feel like what would make a Final Fantasy game superb.
Doing something it's never done before, challenging viewpoints on gaming, perhaps.
This is fair. This is fair. Because I'm looking at this.
Jesus Christ,
it rained real loud over here. And I think 6 did a bunch of things really, really well, but it's right next up to 7. And
a lot of people consider 7 their favorite.
I have issues with 7, but we will cut it up nice and neatly here in front of everyone, and we'll analyze it whether it is superb or not. I almost want to put 6 in superb, mostly because it
does something that no other Final Fantasy has done, which I think is cause for.
And this is the last 2D Final Fantasy game, and it does it like there's a whole.
It plays with it.
If you want to look up something really good, look up the Game Trailers Final Fantasy retrospective, and they actually break it down pretty well. Brandon Jones is a fantastic guy. His voice work is fantastic, and he wrote and narrated
that's a great video.
And the amount of expression work they can get into the sprites is fantastic, and there's a lot of comedy and a lot of stuff that got lost through the 3D era of Final Fantasy games. Yeah. And no, fuck it, I'm building it up. 6 is superb. I think 6.
I'm down with this.
It's the last 2D Final Fantasy game that did everything fine.
Yeah.
Not classes, but customization through the summonings, and I think that's fine.
That's good enough.
And now
And now everyone's darling.
The big daddy of Final Fantasy games. Final Fantasy VII. Kitty, looking at this at these losers, what would you rank this game?
See, like just looking at Cloud and Sephiroth, I'm pretty eh.
You're pretty eh.
I'm pretty eh.
Is it the lack of color?
That doesn't help. I know it's like post-apocalyptic-y city hellscape, but like
I feel like these two images don't do the game justice, particularly because they're both soldiers wearing military gear.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, a lot of the characters wear kind of similar clothes.
Yeah.
Similar style.
Except for a couple. Well,
mostly Aerith, who needs to stand out.
And who has a staff, which is really weird for a Final Fantasy game.
Fair.
Not a magic rod, a staff. It's weird. Now, Final Fantasy VII is the big darling of everyone's Final Fantasy lists.
Released on the PS1
and
back in the day.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. I think that a lot of the attachment to Final Fantasy VII is due to the time in which it came out and the people who were playing it at that time. I feel it was very foundational to a lot of people's interest in RPGs, and I'm not saying that's inherently wrong.
No, because like that's something that a lot of everybody has that one game or that one series or that one anime that like is foundational to them.
Yeah,
and this was
exactly.
a lot of kids.
And I don't think that's inherently bad. I think Final Fantasy VII, mechanically wise, it brought in the materia system in which you put in spheres of magic into your weapons to modify them, and by connecting different materia, you can have different effects. If you have the Fyra, which is a second level fire ability, attached to an AoE sphere, suddenly your Fyra, your second level fire spell attacks everybody, and that customization is fantastic. There's games that are still trying to recapture the customization and complexity of materia, and materia is fantastic.
Okay.
This was the second game that introduced like limit breaks kind of moves. 6 had them first. Yeah. I think 7 did them best because you could save them. 9, you can't save them, and I hate that. I hate that because they're basically random entirely. You can't save your limit break for a boss fight. 7 is the first time in which they went full Hollywood on this.
They did. There's like cinematic angles and cinematic cutscenes and shit.
And basically little movies in here.
Cutscenes, yeah.
Fun fact, Squaresoft, still Squaresoft at this time,
basically
made 2 whole games to prepare themselves for Final Fantasy. One of them is Parasite Eve, which is canonically the Final Fantasy VII beta. And you can tell because the main character is a blunt person and your supporting character is a tough black guy. And literally they just scrubbed it out.
Yep, it's fine.
Also, Final Fantasy VII was originally supposed to take place in New York City. Fun fact. Yeah, it was supposed to be
modern day,
pseudo-modern, 10 years from now, something like that.
But with magic.
Parasite Eve and Xenogears were both key in letting them get used to 3D development and stuff like that. And fun fact, Xenogears is actually the complete opposite of Final Fantasy VII, where Final Fantasy VII has pre-rendered backgrounds that are 2D and 3-dimensional characters. Xenogears has 3D environments and 2-dimensional characters.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think Xenogears holds up better. Let's talk about graphics. Final Fantasy VII...
it looks horrible now.
Doesn't hold up.
I'm sorry, it looks horrible.
It didn't hold up back when I first played it on the PC. This actually came out on the PC, back in the day.
Back in the day,
in 4 discs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got it.
Because I know it's on Steam now.
Oh, no, it came back in the day. By 2005, I got it at a yard sale. I was selling it, and it was like, that's a cheap price, I'll get it.
Okay.
And even when I played it, Cloud's model has big Popeye arms.
Yeah,
he does. Barrett is actually the one that holds up the best because he has cartoony proportions.
Yeah. And seeing the iconic cutscene.
Yeah.
Modern is kind of, it looks bad now.
Yeah, and it really doesn't hold up, and that's the jump to 3D. Literally, almost no franchise survived that.
Yeah, no, not much could get past that. Even you go back and look at the first Toy Story. Yeah, it don't look good no more.
It actually looks really.
It still holds up a little, but that's the problem with 3D technology. I feel and a lot of indie developers are playing with this because 2D holds up is just so timeless, it seems. Whereas 3D ages much faster.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna make a controversial statement, okay? I think A Link to the Past looks better than Ocarina of Time. It took them until Majora's Mask to make that art style look good.
Yeah. Ocarina of Time looks really awkward.
Majora's Mask looks way better because
it's all stylized.
It's more stylized.
Yeah, so it makes it
it's
timeless.
the reason why, and I'll just say this one more time, Wind Waker holds up way better than Twilight Princess.
Style? Yeah. The re-release on the Wii U looks really good, but...
That's fair. That's fair.
But,
that's fair. But Wind Waker just still...
Wind Waker looks phenomenal re-released on the Wii U. It's beautiful.
And art style will carry you more than just technical prowess. It's the same thing with like some cell-shaded games from back in the day. Like Jet Set Radio still looks pretty good. Mm-hmm. A little bit blocky with that anti-aliases, but that's fine. That's fine. Back to Final Fantasy VII. Mm-hmm. Final Fantasy VII was all about story. We actually have characters with in-depth, complex storylines, and characters who actually change throughout the course of the story. I'm gonna say this right now, because I'm actually really angry about this.
Okay.
By the end of the story, I forgot. Our main characters are Cloud, and the antagonist is Sephiroth. And by the end of the game, Cloud has actually has overcome all of his fears and actually emerged as a stronger, better person. That's why the following movies, like Advent Children and some of the other games, basically level him back down to being
just like a stoic,
a whiny, sad boy.
Yeah.
Even though by the end of 7, he has actually completely come full circle and become a better person. It literally ends with him pretty much, for all intents and purposes, putting an end to the thing that ruined his life and overcoming the person he looked up most, the person that inspired him. It's actually a very well told story. Up until the end is actually goddamn terrible. It feels very Ava as in like
now we're fighting God.
Well, no, not even that. No. I'm actually mean like conclusion of Ava as in like it's like shouldn't there be more after this? No,
just ends. All right,
no,
sounds good.
No.
All right, we're done.
No. That's why Advent Children like mended some people's hearts because it's just kind of like I like it for what it was, except for the whole Cloud leveling down, where I'm just like, why did you level Cloud back down to being whiny and sad?
I didn't watch the whole movie, but
I've seen it a couple times.
It's pretty, but that's it.
It's pretty, but that's it. Also, it actually overlooks a couple of things, especially regarding one particular character. But whatever, it's fine. Keith Sid, why the fuck is he still in the? Whatever, it's fine. This is
Advent Children also is so brown and gray and gloomy and sad. I
mean, it makes sense for that world.
I know, but it's boring.
I actually like that it gave some of Sephiroth's clones actual character. Now let's talk about the issues with Final Fantasy VII. Oh, we're gonna be here for half the video.
Sephiroth has clones.
Oh, you don't fight Sephiroth until the very end of the game. What? You're gonna but Max, I actually thought no, that was a clone. What? The game never tells you that? Well, you see, that's because Final Fantasy VII has a lot of issues with its story. It's very powerful in that it's character-driven, immediately with character struggles, and I think that you can look at Sephiroth's struggle, and aside from his solution being a big reset button, it's still understandable. I think realizing that your life is a big giant lie is actually pretty cool, especially when you think you have earned your own success and realize that it's all been a farce. It's actually kind of powerful, and that's not even that big of a spoiler. There's a bunch of really stupid things in here, though, that actually, with the expanded continuity, get ruined, such as, like, Vincent's relation to Sephiroth is actually kind of... And this is a bunch of... the problem with 7 is that it has a bunch of special characters you can get in your party, but since you are not required to get them, they don't show up in any of the cutscenes.
Right.
Yuffie, Vincent... Am I forgetting anyone else?
I know there's like a really minor character too.
Yeah, and like they don't show up ever, which makes them...
So they're irrelevant.
There's actually a bit...
Yuffie probably gets more screen time in Kingdom Hearts.
You're not even wrong. There's actually a funny bit in which like Yuffie shows up in Advent Children, and one of the kids is like, "Who the hell is that?" It's like, it's one of our friends.
That's pretty
Even
bad,
though you have to spend a bunch of time in the ninja village. Yes, there's a ninja village in Final Fantasy VII. The problem with Final Fantasy VII is that it has a good story. Absolutely burdened by its inability to tell itself fully, and also its own stupidity at times. There are talking dolphins in this game.
There's a cross-dressing scene.
There's a cross-dressing scene, which is actually not that bad, because it talks in the whole, sexual labor and, like, the grittiness of the world that is here, where you're literally dressing up as a to-be prostitute to get inside of this club, and deals with the whole, like, Cloud actually realizing what women go through. It's actually...
Too bad that didn't, impart any of that knowledge onto the actual boys playing it.
No. It's one of those things where, like, someone who was way better at writing could make that very effective. But they're taking that out of the game, so, for the remake, so who cares, right?
Are they
I think they're actually taking it out, yeah.
That's dumb.
It sucks, because Cloud, in drag, is actually really cute.
If you're gonna remake a story... I don't know. Anyway.
The problem is Final Fantasy VII is stupid. It has a snowboarding section. It has talking dolphins, which help you cross the world. Wait, how do they do it? And the instant after the talking dolphins, you make it onto the beach, and then the big evil scientist who started everything is on the beach, getting sun, next to a bunch of babes in bikinis. It's actually kind of stupid. Final Fantasy VII is kind of stupid in its story. It has a whole RTS section that is required to advance the story. It has a couple of artifacts from like old Final Fantasy games.
That's what I was gonna ask. Do you know if anything was cut from this game, or did
Ironically, I feel that this game has the opposite problem than most games, where everything made it in.
You're right.
There
was no editor.
Almost really. Like, every character has their own little story, and there are a lot of areas in the game. The game feels very wide, not very deep, which is particularly the problem. And there's a bunch of mini-games in this. Like, most Final Fantasy games from here onwards have one mini-game.
One or two,
yeah,
usually.
but this game had, like, freaking 6. It's actually kind of ridiculous. And, like, there's chocobo breeding and chocobo racing, and, like, which is also required to advance the story.
Of course it is.
There's a lot here, but when I look at it at the very end of it all, the material is great. The story, I know, this is the first game you played where a character dies. I get that, and I'm not trying to make you feel bad. But I think in the overall scheme of things, it wasn't the first time it happened in Final Fantasy. It wasn't particularly monumental, and I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with Final Fantasy VII.
And also, like, it's the thing that everyone on the internet spoils, so you can't even go into this, like, not knowing that.
And like, the one person, because, like...
It's like the whole, Star Wars thing. Everyone spoils it.
Yeah. And, like, everyone's been joking forever that, like, what if you could have actually saved that character? I think an alternate part of the game where you could have done that would have been fantastic. Yeah. To actually twist the story, but...
But instead, we got the side stories that we got.
Final Fantasy VII did a bunch of things. I don't know how I feel about it. I love it and I hate it. Cloud is a great character. I hate that every time he shows up anywhere else, he's reset.
Yeah.
He's reset back to default Cloud with no depth to his character whatsoever, and that breaks my heart.
Boring.
Also, a bunch of the shit in this game is never explained to you. And like, the stuff with Genova,
not Jehovah's Witnesses?
No, it's also a little bit on the nose, but whatever. Genova is never explained to you, and it's one of those things where, like, you have to read the art book to learn things and watch, like, oh, they were all clones all along?
Okay, listen, supplementary material for your games does not make me want to play your games.
Oh, we'll get to that one later.
Later on the list.
So, I don't think it's bare minimum.
I think it does enough to be A tier.
I think it does enough to be A tier. If anything, just because Materia it's a great system.
And it influenced a lot of gaming culture and gamers
fair.
And their viewpoints. So I think it's influential enough to be awesome. We're not gonna. I mean, like, some people would put it in S tier because it shaped the way that their gaming life has become. But for us, it wasn't.
I think it's jittered enough that it doesn't go all the way. I think that it's because 6 already did big storytelling, and I think 7, especially now that it's aged so badly. So, see, these games don't exist in a vacuum. We're comparing them against each other. So.
Exactly. That's the point of this list.
Also, I'll say this: the boss 888 is great, and I love Cloud's turtleneck. It's actually kind of charming.
It's cute, yeah.
Now 8.
Holy shit! That lady hot.
You mean Ultimisia? With our antagonist Ultimisia and our main character Squall. Final Fantasy VIII is a little bit infamous in the Final Fantasy community, mostly because it does things weird. We're back to a weird game. I think Final Fantasy is like good game,
weird game.
No, good game, weird game. I don't know. 8 is weird because it's actually like a high school drama kind of story. And I know someone, Eros is yelling at me right now, but it kind of is. It deals a lot with like school life. You actually get allowances at the end of chapters. You're going to a big school where you're training Kitty. It's not as bad as you think it is. I actually think it's fine. I think that because this is a personal story. It's a story about a boy and a girl, and I think that's fine.
Fair.
I think that's super
You've never done that in Final Fantasy, I guess.
This game has aged way better than 7. I think it looks way better than 7.
From what I remember, I think so. It looks less
because they actually look like people.
Yeah, the models don't look like really bad Legos.
Yeah. The main mechanic in this game is it's a synonym for pulling. I forget what it is, but basically, you characters don't have spells in this game.
Right.
Instead, you take spells from locations and enemies. You absorb the spells, and you get spell counts like you would in Final Fantasy D&D, where you only have a certain number of charges. But instead of regaining them when you rest, like a wizard would in Dungeons and Dragons, you just have them as a finite element. So you have to go to points in the world to get fire S and to get your heals and stuff like that. And I think that's fine. I think a world with charges is fine, because it helps you actually just use those things. I've made it to the end of RPGs with 99 elixirs before, okay? And if instead of Curagas I had to use elixirs, I would probably use elixirs. Junctioning is the stupid part of this game, in which there's a whole system about attaching spells to your stats and your summonings to level them up, and it makes no sense. That right there's a problem. Aside from that, the story I joke about it. The biggest problem that I've always heard is that Squall is very stoic and not very interactable as a main character. Laguna, one of the other characters in the story, is way more interesting because he's basically like Squall but better.
What about the girl?
Rinoa? She's pretty. I forget the girl with the stupid hair. There's a girl in the story. I like this story being about a boy and a girl, and I know there's more to that, especially with Ultimecia and stuff like that. Not a love triangle, God forbid. But I think, and I don't have a lot to say about Final Fantasy VIII, mostly because like a lot of the complaints I think they're silly.
You didn't talk about the fact that it's got a card game in it.
This is the first game that introduced a card game, and unlike the next game on the list, this card game makes no goddamn sense. Actually, that's a lie. Tetramaster doesn't also make any sense. Card games are nice. The problem with Final Fantasy VIII is that there's like 5 rule sets, and the game doesn't do a good job at explaining. And so you're like, we're gonna play this. It's like if the Pokemon trading card game or if Magic the Gathering had like 5 rule sets.
Ugh.
And they all play differently. And it's just like, okay, that's a little bit too much.
Yeah.
That's a little bit too much.
Well,
it's a little bit too much. Kitty?
I've always really liked the designs in 8.
He has a guy with a cowboy hat, and that's actually this actually has way more like female-orientated designs with really pretty
really
boys.
Does, yeah.
Except for Sephiroth, the guy who looks like he's from The Bouncer, the guy with like the Mike Tyson tattoo. He's okay. Not the worst design, but you have the guy with the cowboy hat. You have Squall, who's a pretty boy.
Red boy's good.
And he has the gunblade. Fuck, let's not talk about the gunblade. The gunblade is stupid.
It's pretty dumb.
I would put it at a bare minimum. I think 8 is bare minimum. I think it's a Final Fantasy game through and through, and it doesn't do things bad enough that it's warrants.
Bad, but...
Are we done with that?
Yeah, I'm down.
And now...
I've always liked the designs in 8, so it's always like piques my interest.
Alright, Kitty. Gun to your head. What do you think about the designs from Final Fantasy 9 with Sidon and the antagonist Kuja?
I remember vaguely.
Yeah, Kuja.
This one doesn't do him justice because I know he has a monkey tail.
Yeah, he has a monkey tail.
This Dissidia artwork does not do him justice because I don't see his quirky, weird-ass fuck monkey tail.
Yep. Gunky, blunky, weird-ass monkey tail.
Like, listen, you gotta show me the monkey tail. Like, looking at this, they just look like 2 boring boys. But you tell me that one has a monkey tail and this one's fucking insane, and I'm down.
Also, thighs. You get a lot of thighs from Kuja. That's why I admit this doesn't do it justice, and that's true. Mm-hmm. But we're irrelevant YouTubers, and our opinion doesn't matter, but it's fine.
9 has always interested me.
9, I will just say this right now, by the way, the creator of Final Fantasy thinks 9 is his favorite game.
Was that true, or was that ZD holding a gun to his head?
No, he's actually said that for real.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy to take the money when it's actually true. Final Fantasy 9 is... Because by this point, we've had 3 games that don't actually feel like Final Fantasy. You had 6, which was post-apocalyptic.
A play.
7, that is also post-apocalyptic. You have 8, which is more of like a high school drama kind of thing.
And 9 actually
goes back to the fantasy. Mm-hmm. The whole thing about 9 was they wanted it to feel like a Final Fantasy game again. And this game plays with a lot of the themes of the original game, to the extent that it's actually... some would argue it's actually a sequel to the first Final Fantasy.
That's fair.
And this is not even a big spoiler, but Garland actually comes back. The antagonist of Final Fantasy 1 comes back into the story. And there's a bunch of cool things. It plays with a lot of elements, especially the theme of crystals, which has been present in all of the games. Mm-hmm. I really like Final Fantasy 9. Final Fantasy 9 has no job system. Your characters are set into their own archetypes. Our protagonist, Sidon, is a thief. Garnet, our main female character, is a white mage.
And you know she has a good character arc when she cuts her hair.
Yeah.
You know that's a good character arc.
Yeah, it changes her portrait is really good.
That's so good.
It actually changes. It's funny that you actually know about her cutting her hair.
I do. I've seen some of the cutscenes for 9.
I did a full LP of 9. I like 9 because when I was getting into RPGs, all of the RPGs that were available to me were like 6 and 7. I played a bit of 4 and I liked 4, but 6 and 7 were not fantasy to me, they were more science fiction. So when I saw Final Fantasy 9, it piqued my interest, because you had these fantasy elements that like really resonated with me, especially during that time where like the Lord of the Rings movies were coming out.
This is like big on that kind of era of like actual fantasy. We want fantasy to become popular again.
Yeah, and
because I feel like during the 90s and like early 2000s, it was more about the gritty post-apocalyptic,
and anti-hero culture.
Was Blade or Blade Runner?
No, that was like 80s.
Okay,
but
I know it was very popular.
It was also like the comic
time.
book anti-hero culture.
Yeah.
Of like, you don't play as excited, happy-go-lucky characters like Sidon. You play as Cloud and Squall,
jaded
who are just
characters
like,
and don't care about the world around them.
Ellipses.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the world of Final Fantasy IX because it was very bright and exciting, and it had funny characters and touching moments, and I feel that it actually goes through the highs and the lows. And it tells an interesting story that feels like Final Fantasy. Mechanic-wise, since characters don't have job switching, the main thing in this game is that equipment teaches you skills. This is something that would come back later in Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics, or I think it was in Tactics first, I forget. But the main idea is that this actually gave you a reason to put items on you that were not the biggest number.
Right.
If you wanted to learn, like for instance, as Vivi or Black Mage, if you wanted to learn ice attacks, you would have to buy or get the ice staff, and you would go learn the ice attacks. But also this gave you like passive abilities, such as like doing more damage towards reptiles or towards elemental enemies, and you would switch your setup because it was like skill points basically.
Yeah.
And
I
you
feel
would,
like this influenced Radiata Stories.
yeah, I know, yeah, absolutely. The idea of like learning skills and moving stuff around
things
and learning
other people.
skills from things, and I really like that system. Also because, unlike other games before, like 6, you didn't have to wait until you filled up the bar to get the skill. Like if you only wanted that skill for that one fight, you could do it. You could just equip it for that one fight and then toss it out.
That's
it's
really
actually
nice.
used in a lot of speedruns for that.
Fair.
Final Fantasy IX, in regards to its cast, has a very cast of characters.
It's a very wide cast of very different characters.
Which was a shift from Final Fantasy VIII, which had everyone kind of just looking like normal people.
Everyone's a white guy
or a white girl. And in this particular case, we have like completely different outlines, almost in MOBA designs, where everyone has a distinct outline, like Vivi, the Black Mage, Garnet, the White Mage, Steiner, the Warrior, and Sedan with their own particular stances. Yeah, it's fine.
Y'all are already fighting us about everything we've already said, so I think the name thing is going to be fine.
Welcome back to whoever unpause the video now. Hey there.
It's fine.
To yell at us for Sedan. That seems like the smallest hill to die on.
Somebody
in
will.
this episode.
Somebody will.
Someone's fighting us already.
It's fine.
I like the struggle between Kuja and Sidon, especially near the end, because it actually has a very touching moment. Sidon is a very good protagonist. I really like him as a point of view. He always encourages the story and never turns it down. He never says, no, let's not go on that adventure. He always says yes. And I really like it.
Yeah. That was something that was probably missing from the previous few Final Fantasies.
Someone that actually enabled things. Like, Cloud literally says no, like, 20 times in the first, like, 2 hours of the game. He's like, this is my last mission. I'm not doing anything anymore for you. No
Next
more.
Mission.
No more.
Next
no
mission.
more.
No more.
Oh, I mean, I guess I will. No, I don't want to buy your flowers, flower girl. I know you can say yes, but you can also say no. I don't know. Cloud didn't really enable this story, and he has to actually be forced to change, and you could say that's part of his character.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I like Sidon always saying yes to the adventure.
Yeah.
As you can tell, I have a lot of emotional attachment to this game. I felt that the story was very solid, and I will admit...
I was going to say, are you going to talk about the ending where... like, it kind of doesn't make sense anymore at the end?
I will agree that this, like Final Fantasy VII, it also
like you've told me
has the issue of, like, the final boss is not Kuja, and it makes actually no sense. And someone out there's like, well, actually, Max, in the art book, they actually explain it, the reason why you're fighting that, and it really makes sense when you think about it in the large scheme of things. The final boss should be the person on the goddamn cover.
It should be the one that you've been fighting this whole time.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, 10 does that, basically.
Yeah. And the final boss in 10, just like in 9, is actually really underwhelming.
The stage before.
The one before is way more interesting.
Yeah, it's weird.
And the thing with 9 is that 9 kind of the very end is kind of, or the final boss fight fun fact, it's the only time I ever died in the whole game. Fun fact.
Yeah.
The final boss looks really cool. But as to why...
But does it make sense?
As why you're fighting that character, it makes no sense. And some others like, no, Max, but thematically speaking, I know! What is the lore reason, and why wasn't it established before? That's bad writing, and I will call it out when I see it.
Fair.
On the brighter side, unlike Final Fantasy VII, and no cuffs, just unlike Final Fantasy VII, this actually tells you what happened to your characters after the end.
Yeah, no, that's shitty.
7 just fades to white. Fuck that.
And at least 10 gives you a sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess 7... Does 7 give you a sequel?
Advent Children takes place afterwards. And Dirge of Cerberus actually takes place after...
But I'm not about that one, so...
Oh, we didn't put Dirge of Cerberus anywhere! Oh, fuck.
Yeah, we haven't done those 2 7.
Yeah, we'll get back there.
We're gonna need to go fast through the rest, through the non-main series games, because we're already almost at an hour.
Are we? Damn, oh no. Welcome back to another podcast.
So non-main series games will be
I don't think 9 is superb. I don't think it's superb. I think it's awesome. I like it, but I'm not gonna, if it established that final boss way earlier, and if it did a couple of things better, like one character's storyline is not wrapped up, Freya's story doesn't get wrapped up, and I can't forgive that. Especially because Freya's so good. Queen is a fantastic character though. Vivi,
good.
He's a good boy. I would put 9 as awesome.
Okay.
I think 9 did a lot of things very well. Not everything, though. And now, really quickly, and I'll just... Final Fantasy VII has 2 follow-up games, with Crisis Core on the PSP and Dirge of Cerberus on the PS2, which is supposed to be the big expansion of Final Fantasy VII. Crisis Core is a prequel game where you follow Jack. Is it Jack?
Who are you talking? Who?
Final Fantasy VII, Crisis Core, you play as the cool guy. What's his
Zack.
name? Zack!
Zack.
Oh, I lost all cred because I forgot his name.
His name is
I
Zack.
forgot Zack, who's the coolest, biggest, baddest guy with the biggest dick.
Didn't a lot of people, after doing that one, were like, I wanted to play as Zack instead, he's better.
There's story reasons for that.
Fair.
I mean, I could tell you, without a lot of spoilers, Cloud wishes he could be Zack.
Dope.
That's very simple right there.
That's fair.
And honestly, the game played pretty well. The one issue that I have with it is that Ganks? There's a Japanese musician, I forget his name, but he's actually in the game as a character, and he did the music for it. It's really stupid, and that's the reason why that game will never get re-released, because there's a real-life person in it, and they would have to give him a bunch of money. I think I would say just no for Crisis Core.
Just don't.
What did I say?
No.
I would say no for Crisis Core.
Don't.
It's a
not
prequel.
worth it.
Also, the ending for that fucking sucks. It's a stupid
Read the wiki summary.
Yeah. Dirge of Cerberus is a shooter game where you play as Vincent, the vampire. He's kind of a vampire. Shut up, it's fine. The worst part is that Dirge of Cerberus kind of creates a connection between Sephiroth and Vincent that no one wanted.
Cool.
Yeah,
Is that
he may be your father, but he's not your daddy. I would put Dirge of
She
Cerberus...
may be a woman, but she's still a woman.
Dirge of Cerberus, I'm going to put as game close, mostly because the game plays well. As a game, it's fine. As
a story.
You level up your character, and it's cool. And characters like Yuffie get a lot of play.
Fair.
And introduces new characters, and more ladies, and that's good.
Fair.
Other than that, I would just say it came close, but or should I just say no?
Either way.
Fuck it, don't. You can't even buy the game anymore, it's fine.
There you go. Alright. Let's talk about the game I've played.
Final Fantasy X.
Released on the PS2.
Yeah, with our main character, Titus.
Titus. I call him Titus. I was just saying Titus to annoy
Titus
people.
And
Jecht. Oh, I love Jecht. He is this hot asshole. And I hate him.
Man, isn't beautiful? Jesus.
Titus is fucking beautiful.
He's really cute.
Okay, this is the game I have actually beaten.
No, you've beaten all these games, especially 7. Especially Dirge of Cerberus.
Especially. No, Final Fantasy 10. I beat back in the day when I was a teenager. So it's probably it's my most influential Final Fantasy game. And it's the one that this is Final Fantasy to me. So it's got a really good storyline that goes through. I love where it starts and where it ends. It's just so much fun, and you get to see all of the characters evolve. It's not always the best in terms of its writing, let's be real. Wakka's kind of racist.
Wakka is super racist.
Let's not beat around the bush about that.
That did not age well at all.
It has aged quite badly, especially in modern day America. But I I really like where the story goes. The system that they introduced in this one is the sphere grid.
Yeah, which is really cool.
I really like the sphere grid. It is definitely confusing because you look at it and you're like, what the fuck am I looking at? But it's cool because you can interact and like, you know, cross over to different other people's sphere grids and like you can learn their skills and shit. It's a lot of fun to like make your own.
Yeah, it is kind of
skills and characters.
There isn't a lot of branching points until you fully complete a class.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can actually like have characters dip into other ones as soon as they complete their basic class is actually pretty interesting.
And it's cool, and it makes use of skills that you have on team members you never use, Kimari, so you can actually use those skills.
I was wondering if you would just drop that, because
listen,
nobody played Kimari.
Nobody played Kimari. He has a stupid spear. He looks big and tough, but he has a stupid spear and doesn't do enough damage, so he's out. Sorry.
And ironically, he's the one in the middle of the sphere grid, I think, so he can actually branch out the soonest, but that makes him not as effective as the other characters. Also, Tidus gets haste.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something, that means he's in the party forever, as is Auron, because he just does so much damage. And he deals with flying enemies, which Waka should be doing too, but because Auron does it, fuck Waka.
Yeah, and then you switch out Lulu and Yuna.
Yeah.
And then occasionally Riku if you need a bomb.
If Tidus is there, you can play as Riku, who also gets haste.
So, yeah, no, like, the characters are not always, like, the most useful in terms of your party, so that is fair. The antagonist, I really like Jecht as an antagonist. I love that you don't... he's an antagonist, but you don't know the full extent of his antagonistic, you know, prowess until... It's actually about halfway through the game, I think, or, like... It's in towards the end of the first half, if I remember correctly, is when you kind of learn more about Jecht. But you've seen enough of him before that to know he's a fucking asshole, and that kind of builds him up as this like asshole dude. But I love that, you know, Tidus has always been compared to him because he was like, oh, Jecht was so great, Jecht was so awesome, but every time he saw Tidus, he was a fucking asshole and a dickhead, and he left his wife. I mean, he didn't really leave his wife, but he was an asshole to his wife, and like I love the conflict between like what people's perception of this man is and what, you know, his son's perception of this man is. Like, I love the
juxtaposition.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Yuna loves him, but Tidus hates him.
Yeah. And to build on that, I actually like the perception because, like, Jecht is presented as a very, like, antagonistical force very early in the story, especially through the flashbacks. But it always carries that edge of, like, well, is Tidus just kind of just being a little
brat,
bitch, though?
Sure. Or is Jecht really an asshole? And
ironically,
and even in Tidus's mind, even in Tidus's mind, he's still like there's a part of him that still loves his dad because he was his dad.
Yeah.
And you know you don't have to love your dad just because he was your dad, but
I definitely I like 10 because it's a very personal story.
It is.
Everyone is connected to one another, but not in that really weird.
But not
everyone
in the dumb way.
Knows each other's family kind of way.
And like I
wink, wink.
haven't played 8, full disclosure, but I think this is probably a better romance story.
Well, it's funny because like in the Japanese version, it's not a full-on romance story.
No, but it's a slow like it's a slow burner kind of.
Especially with Tentei.
Yeah, and he realizes that wait, I really do love her. Like slowly throughout the story, and he's always trying to cheer her Yuna up, and he's always like there for her. And
now the biggest complaints with Final Fantasy X is the one of its biggest strengths, the fact that it's the first Final Fantasy game that has voice acting in it, and that itself, people argue that it's one of its biggest weaknesses. Yes, Yanto? You want to come up here, baby?
Come here.
The voice acting in Final Fantasy X, I think it's fine.
I like it.
Yanto, don't rub yourself up against the tripod, baby.
Come on. No, stop, please.
The voice acting in Final Fantasy X, I think it's absolutely fine. Who voices Tidus?
I forget. He's great,
but you were saying that like about the laughter scene.
It's meant to be like it's meant to sound awkward because like he's trying to make her laugh. That's the whole point of that scene. It's not how he actually laughs because you've heard him laugh before. This is people don't get it. People don't get it.
I feel like people don't get it.
People just want to shit on it because they want to shit on it.
Because without context, it looks bad.
It looks
really unlike
stupid.
Kingdom Hearts, which out of context looks bad, but in reality is actually super bad. Final Fantasy X with context, it works. I actually like the transition of our antagonist, or first antagonist Seymour,
yes,
and then the second antagonist Jecht, and the reality of the big biggest antagonist in the form of Sin. The use of summonings in regards to Yuna
is really great.
Jujimbo is fucking great. Anima is fantastic.
The only thing that sucks is the dungeons. Hello.
The story dungeons for this game
to
suck.
get the summonings are
to get the summonings.
Fucking awful. I hate them.
Hi, Yanto.
I remember getting stuck on like the last one where it has like the elevator, like lift. Fuck that. Like, listen.
That was the lowest point of the game. Absolutely.
One of my favorite high points.
Kitty, stop him. He's going towards the laptop.
Oh no. One of my favorite high points, and this is also where I got stuck the first time in the game. Yanto. Yeah, you can see him good. Is the battle on the airship, on Sid's airship, on top of Sid's airship. That's, I think, one of my favorite Final Fantasy moments, because you get I love that 10 uses the environment in its battles too. It's so much fun. So you get to go underwater, you go above the sea, you go everywhere. It's so fun, and like that was one of those moments that completely wowed me as a child. That moment and the first moment you fight Sin.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you get your ass handed to you unless you had actually been leveling up, which I had not because I was a child.
Yeah. So, must you sit on the iPad, baby? Jesus.
He must.
And again, the mechanics of the sphere grid, which other games have emulated.
Yes.
I forget, Path of...
Radiant?
No, it's a Diablo game.
No.
Path of D, I think. There's the starts with a D, I forget. He basically has a sphere grid, and that system was so good. And also, I love that you can make your own equipment. Like, I actually ended up making a better final weapon than Lulu's final weapon, because Lulu's final weapon fucking sucked to get. So.
Alright, yeah. And then the bad things, of course, there are bad things about. I'm sorry, I'm trying to not get him to sit on the desk.
I mean, it's fine.
As long as he doesn't sit on the keyboard.
I think he's gonna sit on the keyboard.
Exactly.
I mean, I have everything closer. It should be fine. There's no way he can press his button in a way that he, deletes my hard drive.
Hopefully. Like, 10 has its weaknesses. Like, story-wise, again, the final boss fight's kind of...
Yeah. Like, the very final boss fight...
It has a weird, like, side antagonist that comes in towards the end. Or is that in 10 too? I forget.
I think it's 10 too. And also...
Yanto, are you shitting me right now? Where are you going?
Oh my... Yanto, oh my god, that's my scene. Jesus Christ.
Yanto, where do you think you're going?
He's being the worst boy he could be.
That's my boy.
He's being the worst boy he could be. He has to be the worst boy because we're recording.
Yep. He has to be the center of attention.
And also, to be told...
Lulu's design is not great.
Yeah, Lulu's design is actually one of the worst. Truth be told...
And Blitzball sucks.
Huh?
Controversial statement, Blitzball sucks.
I thought the game was fine, but I do agree that it requires a lot of the actual player. It's literally learning a second game. I liked it. I do also understand that most of it is bullshit.
It's bullshit.
Also, Final Fantasy X ends in a very anticlimactic way because there's a sequel to it in the form of X2.
And I like how it ends, actually.
I did not like it.
I like it.
Where the fuck did he go?
He went to...
Oh, a different tab, okay.
A different tab. No, I like that it's bittersweet. I like that,
fair.
like, not everybody gets a happy ending. The twist of the story comes out and is like, oh shit, who is Titus really?
Yeah.
And you kind of get to see that as well. I really like the ending.
Yeah.
I do understand, though, that, like, it leaves some to be desired, which is why they made a sequel, I suppose. It's also one of the best-selling Final Fantasy games, as far as I know, so that's also why they made a sequel.
Kitty, is this superb? I think 10 is superb. I think I
can go with that.
I think
it introduced enough. It influenced enough
the rest
players.
of the Final Fantasy games going forward. It brought a bunch of people in.
And it was the first game that has a direct sequel.
Yeah, that's true. Which we're gonna talk about right now. Final Fantasy X-2. Kitty.
It's got pretty girls who change costumes, and it's got idol songs. So I'm down. I'm down. I never beat it.
Is this awesome?
It was too hard to beat, though. Honestly, like
fuck it, it's awesome.
It's awesome. I like what they try to do, but
the alternative endings are pretty cool.
Yeah,
it does the best it could have done with reusing a lot of assets.
I really don't know because I haven't played it and I haven't like read the summary in a long time. I don't know what the fuck is up with other Yuna and other Titus.
Yeah. Listen. The battle system is great. It's really fun. It brings back the job system in which you have to change jobs in the middle of battle.
And
that's
it's a fun magical girl transformation scene. It's basically a magical girl game.
Yeah, and it's an all-girl cast. It
has songs.
It has songs in it.
Like
honestly,
4.
Like listen. And the story...
That's all I need.
It's a complete canon follow-up to a previous Final Fantasy game. It goes up on Awesome just purely on the fact that it's the first sequel game.
It's the first sequel game.
And it did
all female characters.
It actually did it well.
People didn't like it because it was all female characters.
Because it was all female... Yeah.
Nobody wants that shit.
How can I be expected to relate to someone who doesn't look like me?
Gee, I wonder. We will talk way more about that with 13, but since we need more time, 10-2 is good. We're gonna one day we will LP it.
We will LP that. Are we gonna do 10?
Yes.
Oh fuck.
Yes, we will.
We have the HD collection is actually really good.
The HD collection, bless Square Enix, they didn't give a fuck.
They didn't give a fuck.
They just kind of re-rendered the whole game and made it look prettier, but they didn't like fix the voice acting like lip movements, which suck, by the way. It does not look like they're actually speaking. They didn't fix that. And
but most of the game has aged pretty well, though. Aside from the Kingdom Hearts 1, like my sprite is changing on my mouth, but I'm actually not talking at all.
Yeah, and there was some laziness to it, but they did okay.
So
we'll play it eventually.
Also, political statements here at Dango Duo. Don't play 11. Don't play 11.
Okay.
It's an MMO where you need other people to experience the story, and those servers are getting shut down eventually.
Fair.
I don't know, I don't know. I would rather. I've heard way more better things about 14's story. Than 11's, and also 11's hasn't held up as well. It's an MMO. It's like, would I recommend you to play World of Warcraft for the story? Fuck no.
No.
Don't play 11. That one's an easy one.
Yeah.
Now
14's a little easier.
Kitty, what about 12.
Our current Final Fantasy project.
Yeah, we're playing it.
You've played it.
I played a bunch of it.
I've never played it.
Yeah. Until we're playing it now.
Until now.
With our protagonist
Vaughn.
No, Ash.
I mean our protagonist Vaughn. And our antagonist is
Vayne / Gabranth.
That guy.
It's
the whole the Empire.
The Empire.
Basically. Best Star Wars prequel movie.
It's the best Star Wars prequel movie. So true.
Fight me.
So
nobody will fight me on that.
We're playing the re-released version of the game on the PS4.
Which is great because it has a speed up button. It has a ×2 and a ×4.
And so we're saying these games don't exist in a vacuum. Mm-hmm. If we were rating the PS2 version, which I own and I played a bunch of, it would be way lower. It would probably be.
It doesn't play very.
Don't / came close. But the fact that the Final Fantasy 12 remake. It looks really good.
It looks really good.
It has the international version of the Zodiac grid, which is a leveled up version of the Sphere grid, where.
But it's also tied to jobs and classes, so it's like a combo.
It's themed. So instead of in the original PS2, all of your characters would end up looking like the same blob because you would kind of give them the same general good skills. In the 12 remake,
in 12, if you
actually have classes and mixed classes when you combine two different jobs together.
Yeah.
And the adaptability to buy the things you want to buy when you want to buy them is actually fantastic.
It's really fun. It gives you plenty of leeway to how you want to shape each character. They kind of... I don't know, he's just trying to settle.
Yeah, he's just trying to settle.
They kind of push you in a direction with some of the characters. They're like, oh, this guy comes with a gun, so you should make him a gun guy.
You should make him... Or you can... You
can make him a white mage. Who cares?
Yeah, it actually...
I really do like that, that so much customization. It's a little overwhelming at first, because you're like, okay, what the fuck do I choose?
It was a little helpful that I knew some of these things already, because I felt that without the context of what you're doing, it becomes really complicated.
And I feel like this is a game you should play with a guide.
Yeah, it's really big.
Because it's very... the gameplay itself is a little clunky.
It is.
Even in the aged up better version.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the fact that it has a speed up button really helps because the gameplay is really slow.
It's kind of rough.
It kind of is rough.
I legit have actually fallen asleep while you were playing.
Yeah, especially when I'm going through the dungeon, just literally beating up monsters. And the moment to moment is not actually pretty fun. The story itself is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It suffers from if you know the behind the scenes. Well, yeah, but if you know the behind the scenes, the main character of the story is supposed to be Ash, and because of focus testing. Apparently they decided to add Van as the main character. That's why he has kind of no relation. And I will just say this right now. I wonder if the focus group was just a bunch of boys. Because we're going to bring up this issue again when the next game. But Ash should be the main character of the story.
She really should.
She actually is at the center of the story. It's actually her story.
It begins... the story begins with her.
With her.
And then we switch to Vaughn because I don't know.
And it breaks my heart that and the fact is that Van is not pulled into the story enough to make him the main character.
But
Penelo just falls off to the side.
I do like, and I forgot to say this as 10, but I do like when a character's an outsider to this world.
Yeah.
Like 10 really does that
fantastically.
amazingly, and 12 does it all right because like Van doesn't really give a shit about what's happening. He's like, my town is suffering. I'm suffering. I was orphaned, and then I lost my only family member.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a fuck about your political struggle. I just want to take down the Empire because they're horrible people. And, like, I like that, but it's really Ash's story.
Yeah.
It's really Ash and Bosch's story.
And I wish... Oh man, if that game came out today, there would be so much fan art of like Bosch.
Yeah, they would
be so. Yeah, there would be so much fan art of those.
This is them kissing. Don't
worry.
Yeah,
yeah, and also and Balthier. Okay, if you're a pirate, you're gay, and if you're a sky pirate, you're super gay. Balthier, biggest gay,
and Fran, huge lesbian too. Like literally huge and figuratively a huge lesbian.
Yeah, it's just. Balthier is... Like, I didn't appreciate Balthier until we were playing that game again.
Like, honestly...
And I'm like, he's so good!
I think if they hadn't have introduced them so early, I think I would have gotten bored of just Vaughn and Penelo.
That's fair.
And Miguelo and their struggles. Miguelo! Because, like, Balthier and Fran give you, like, so a completely side view. Like, they don't give a shit either what's happening. Yeah. They just want to make money, and it completely, like... You get so many different viewpoints, which is really fun.
Yeah, and I think now that I'm thinking about it, the thing with Balthier is that he always says yes. Balthier's always like, oh no, I will go do that thing, but you better give me some money, though.
But
listen,
he's not...
I'm not a charity over here.
But he's not like an overt asshole about it. Like, he takes one of Ash's things, but realizes how important it is and later gives it back. Yeah, it was just like a loan, basically.
Can't sell this.
Yeah, it was basically a loan until you find me something better, and here you go, you can have it back. It doesn't matter.
I actually really like Bosch too. I really
like Bosch. Yeah, he's a little bland at first. He's actually pretty bland overall, but like.
But what about his stupid vest though?
Okay, the character designs in this are either great or really bad. It's hard to tell.
I actually really like the art style in this game. I'm not arguing with you because
the art style, like
Penelo's wings are stupid, but I love Bosch's stupid like Simon Says.
And the fact that like nobody's wearing pants, everyone wears
nobody wears a full shirt except for Balthier.
Yeah, and nobody wears like shirts that cover everything. Like the character design is special. And this is very unique. I'll give it that.
And this game, of course, being part of the Final Fantasy Tactics universe, has a completely different summoning system based on the zodiacs as opposed to just basic elements like Shiva, Ifrit, and Ramu. And it has it plays like an MMO, by the way. I didn't mention this. Like you walk around on the overworld and you attack with like auto attacks
and
little
arrows that auto attack.
It's like active time battle, except you're moving around.
It's not great.
I like it for what it did. Because fun fact,
sped up.
It was designed by the lady who designed Final Fantasy XI. That's why it feels like an MMO.
That makes sense.
And I like it. I definitely agree that to someone who,
this is not very Final Fantasy to a lot of other people.
Oh, oof! We're gonna touch on the next one.
We're gonna get there, but don't worry.
I think 12 is awesome though.
Yeah. So far, I could agree. There are some weak points. Again, combat's clunky. Story can be clunky.
It's slow.
And it is very slow.
It's slow.
And it's very... If you don't like the Star Wars prequels, it's very inspired by that, especially in that first chunk.
You can see it so much.
It's clear as day. Like
it's as clear as day, absolutely.
I like the Star Wars prequels, so I'm fine. But if you don't, it's probably not going to be your cup of tea.
And now... I'm sorry if this video is super long, everybody, but you love this shit, though. And also...
and we're pissing everyone off,
someone already has re-edited their comment like 3 times.
Fair.
It's like, whoa, I can't believe you said that about 8, though, but you were right about 10, though.
So let's talk about one of the other most controversial Final Fantasies. 13.
Final Fantasy 13 originally came out on the PS3, and...
It was early in the PS3's
life,
or was it
like
midway?
Midway,
okay.
I think... It's
the first game on the first Final Fantasy on the PS3.
I'm gonna say this right now. It's the best looking Final Fantasy game.
It looked good.
And let me tell you something right now. It looks better than 15.
It looked good.
It looks better than 15. And it's because 15 is janky as fuck. But we'll get there. 13 I remember when
beautiful.
13 came out.
Same.
And that was back when I was a completely different person with a completely different group of friends, and I was kind of an asshole. I'll tell you this right now. And I remember, I bought the game to hate on it, to shit on it. I bought the game to literally be live tweeting about how stupid it was. And as I started playing it, I actually liked it.
You gave a shit.
I actually gave a shit because that Final Fantasy 13 has. Okay, I'll just say this right now. There's flaws in its story.
Obviously.
It uses foreshadowing, though, and characters changing. Final Fantasy
Has a game ever done that?
It took Cloud, 40 hours to change as a character. In Final Fantasy 13, Hope changes in the course of the first 5 hours. He goes from, my mom's dead, to, I'm gonna kill the guy who did this to me. And that's change, though!
And 10 could have used with some of this foreshadowing of, 10's big twist kind of comes the fuck out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Whereas, 13 actually sets up plot things that it's gonna talk about later.
And actually, I like 13 because it splits the party several times in the beginning, and it gives you a chance to actually see characters. Because instead of it being, I'm sorry, instead of it being okay, for now, for the next 2 hours in the game, is Steiner and Vivi are gone, so it's just Sidon and Dagger and Quina. And that's nice, but they don't never talk.
Yeah. And you never go play as the other party.
One of my favorite sequences is when it's early in the game, where it's just Lightning and Hope, which is the young man who lost his mom, and Lightning, badass, tough soldier girl, and their exchange is very human and touching because Hope is dealing with all these things, and he wants to be useful. He doesn't want to be a burden, and there's a moment in which you play as Lightning for most of that level, and then at one point they have a conversation, and she's like, how about you lead for the next bit? And you play as Hope for that part.
And that's story meeting gameplay beautifully.
And there's foreshadowing. There's a lot of there's foreshadowing through the mechanics, especially in regards to how many action bars your character has an in-depth story relation to it. It's not flawless.
No.
I wish the game didn't have a goddamn fucking... I don't want games with codexes anymore. If it's in the story, have it in a way that's accessible. I don't have to go through 3 menus to find it and read a big block of text. It's
better that it's in the game than outside the game, at least, but still.
Yeah, that's why the item descriptions in Dark Souls were so effective, because the item is right there.
Yeah, you're looking at it and you can see the description.
You literally hold the item and put it in yourself, and then you go, oh, this has a paragraph in it, I can read that.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 13 has weird things such as, the summonings are actually part of the world. The sun is the Phoenix summoning. That's the sun. That's the sun.
Isn't there a motorbike summoning?
Yeah, it's Shiva. She's two ladies, and Snow gets that. This is a very character-driven story, especially because you literally have... The center of the story is... I forget the sister's name. Sarah, which is Lightning's sister and Snow's fiance, basically. And I actually... And you know what? I'm sorry. I'm just really angry about this. And I'm just gonna say it. And I'm gonna say something that's gonna ask you to question your own views in the world, okay? I think a lot of the hate towards 13 and Lightning came from the fact that it was a female character in the leading role.
A female-driven story.
A female character. It's actually a female-driven story. It's a female character who's not entirely male gaze, who isn't a fan service character, who isn't waifu material. Lightning couldn't give less of a fuck about, waifu material shit. She is so anti that I totally understand, especially the gaming culture in Japan, that are, really, really waifu-orientated. Yeah. And you have Lightning, who's completely opposed to that. And also, you have... One of your supporting characters is Snow, who has a girlfriend and is in love with someone and wants to protect her. And that right there, I remember playing that and thinking, this is such an anti...
typical RPG thing.
Yeah, you have a guy who's actually in a relationship and loves her. And yes, he's a little bit brash and he's a little bit gung-ho because he loves Sarah and he wants to protect her.
You can tell that I had an asshole friend who played this back in the day because they shipped Snow and Lightning.
That's stupid. You can ship whatever the fuck you want, but at least have it be something that makes sense. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
He loves Sarah, and Lightning could Lightning might just be the
Lightning probably won't. No, doesn't Lightning hate Snow anyway?
Yeah, well, it's because she can't stand them. And it's funny because it feels like the most petty thing because he's very brash and she's just it's my little sister, I'm protecting her. Mamoru that. But Lightning might as well just be the most canon ace Final Fantasy character.
Fair.
That's the easiest ace canon.
That same asshole friend didn't ship the 2 lesbians in this story.
They are actually lesbians, though. they are actually lesbians. And also, one of the things that got me in this game is that I forget the name of the small lesbian.
Vanille.
Vanille narrates the story. And when I realized that she was the one narrating the story, it actually, like... It
like the tingles?
It gave me the tingles because you have a character who knows more than everyone else, talking about what's going on, giving you hints of what's to come. And also, while we're on this, let's talk about mechanics. People screamed a lot.
They did scream a lot.
They screamed and kicked and complained a lot about the linearity of this game. Meanwhile, Final Fantasy X was also... The world map is actually
linear.
a line. So
it's per damn
that
linear.
complaint I've never liked because the environments were interesting and there were always things going on and character interactions here and there. So
And just because you're always running straight in a level doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah, Mega Man is so bad because it's just a straight line.
Yeah.
Sonic is bad. You're always going to the right. What the fuck?
Yeah, Metroid's bad.
Yeah. Mario? Bad.
Horrible.
Can you believe in Mario you're always going to the right? That's so stupid. They should really make a Mario where you go to the left. No, that would be dramatic. The other main mechanic in Final Fantasy that made everyone mad is the use of the paradigm shift. And I will say this, the game takes its sweet time explaining everything to you. It takes like 4 hours. It's very Persona in the fact that it takes hours for you to have the full kit.
It's a Japanese RPG.
And that makes sense. But the paradigm shift, people were complaining and screaming because you don't actually tell your characters to use fire. You only control the leader of the party at any particular time. And everyone else is basically on auto mode.
It's like Persona 3.
Yeah.
But don't you have like a way that you can kind of like control what they...
You can control what they do based... This game doesn't have classes, it has paradigms, which is packets of skills that your characters use in battle, dependent on a particular archetype. The Ravager is the DPS archetype. You have the Combat Medic, which is your basic does damage and heals kind of character, and there's one more that's just a tank. I forget. It starts with a C, I think. But the basic idea is that instead of it... Why I like Final Fantasy XIII's combat is because instead of it being about moment-to-moment action choosing, like Final Fantasy IX, where you're like, okay, you attack here, you steal there, you use fire and Steiner to do damage on that monster.
Very typical RPG.
In Final Fantasy XIII, it's a mini-game of managing your characters. Instead of just telling Lightning to attack, you put everyone in different battle modes. Like, for instance, let's say, that I want Lightning to be the tank while Hope is healing and Vanille is doing ravaging DPS. And as the battle changes as things change during the battle, you change people's paradigms.
Yeah.
It's a game about adapting to the battlefield. And that, I thought, was really fucking clever. I fell in love with that battle system. I thought it was particularly clever, especially in the fact that it lets everyone do more than... Not everyone has all the classes.
Yeah.
At least not until the end of the game, I think. So there's theming. Like, Vanille is a Ravager and can also do debuffing and buffing. So you can have her in the party for doing those things, especially at the beginning of a big boss fight. Just drop a bunch of buffs on them, buff yourself, set up your tank, and go all in.
Exactly.
And that's fun. I'm talking about it in this excited way because it was very, very fun.
And it's something completely new that Final Fantasy had never done before.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I really like 13, and
I hear the ending is good. Sad, but good. I think it's bittersweet, again.
And I think the fact that there's 2 sequel games give you a nice big bit of closure. I've heard amazing things about 2, that it actually fixes a lot of the problems with 3 or 13, and then Lightning Returns is literally... I've heard it as the Majora's Mask of Final Fantasy games, because you literally play through the same cycle of days over and over. It's weird.
Oh, yeah.
I would actually... how about, let's just package the entire Final Fantasy 13 experience.
That's fair.
And at least awesome.
At least.
I don't know if I can say superb with...
Especially considering the 2 sequels, I don't know if we can do superb.
I could the 13 package is awesome.
Yeah,
especially because it's cheap right now. You can just freaking play it real cheap. And it's on PC too. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's a good time to be on a PC and be a Final Fantasy fan.
Yeah, it's a really good time to be a Final Fantasy fan. Any more thoughts on 13?
We will also play that someday on the channel.
I actually recorded like 10 hours of me playing that game for my other channel, and then that was when things I got really busy with work and personal things. So I ain't got that stuff, but I have Let's Played at least 10 hours of that game, so we'll see what happens. I would love to give it another try. It was really fun. Yeah. It has a bunch of cutscenes, and
it's got, isn't it about half girls, half boys?
Yeah, it's actually, because you have a Vanille Spear Girl, I forget her name.
Fang?
Yeah, Fang! Fuck.
I don't know, random
Vanille, Fang, Lightning, and then you have Hope, Snow, and
I don't remember his name.
Listen, it's fine. I actually like him because he's a big dad. He's a dad.
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
and he's a cool
And he
dude.
has guns. That's good. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. I forget his name, though. There's like 50 characters in this list, okay? I can't remember everybody. I think it's half and half, yeah.
I think, yeah.
And the summonings are fantastic. I love that
They look really good.
13 gets Odin as her
They look
summoning.
cool.
That's great.
It looked good.
Big tough girl. Lightning is a good character, and if
It
you
looked good.
disagree, come fight me, the loser. Her design could be better. Every time I look at her, I wish she was wearing shorts and not a skirt.
Yeah, no, if that was shorts, it would make it. I forget that it's not shorts.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, you could cosplay that easy.
Yeah.
Just get some shorts. Wait a minute.
Yeah, and the side scarf thing is just
It's her
good
cape
character
thing.
design.
Yeah.
14.
14. It's an
Final Fantasy
MMO.
14?
It's an actual MMO.
I would say either come close or bare minimum. I heard the story is really good, but it's an MMO, and I don't want to play with other people to experience the story.
Fair, but also has a lot of customization.
Yeah, that's true. Like it's a thing where I'm like, if you're interested about the story, like,
Yeah,
watch
actually,
cutscenes on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm gonna say comes close because it could be better about its character creation, and it is an MMO, so the story is not going to be told as well as in traditional RPG form. So,
and we're counting 14 and then Realm Reborn in this, by the way. It's
their expansions, it's the 14 universe basically.
the 14 package, and now
the opinion that's going to piss everybody off. 15 is a big old no.
15 was
don't.
so. The issue is that like
hated it.
we bought it. We spent our money on it.
I spent my goddamn hard-earned money
and in case you're
on
wondering,
this piece of shit.
And the worst thing is that every time I bring it up, someone is like, "But when did you guys play it? Because there's been so many patches." We played it in December of 2017.
Yeah.
And that was like the biggest patch that had been dropped to date. That included the
switching
changing characters thing.
And we were like, all right, we're down with that. Finally, it's good.
Let's talk. I think the biggest immediate problem with Final Fantasy 15 is its impenetrable story. Because if you want to actually have context for who you're playing as and what is going on, you have to watch a movie that you have to purchase.
Supplementary material.
Yeah. And you have to watch like a 6-episode anime series. And that is so uninteresting to me.
Like, I've said this in some of the other Final Fantasies we were talking about. If you have supplementary material to your game, I don't want to play it. Especially when it's things such as like, who the fuck are we again? It doesn't matter.
And I know you're like, but Max, you're playing as Noctis,
the prince of whatever.
The prince of who gives a fuck.
Doesn't matter.
But the thing that bothers me is like, if someone is literally like, no, the story doesn't matter though. I'm like, then why the fuck am I playing it?
Why are we playing a Final Fantasy game?
For the gameplay? Because the gameplay
it wasn't fun.
Wasn't fun. We gave this game the most honest shot.
I played it. We both played it.
And I'll say this right now. And this is a thing that people will understand if you have played a bunch of other games.
Mm-hmm.
There is a term that someone I know coined called Eurojank. A jank for games made in a particular part of Europe that feel very janky. Games like the original Witcher game. Games like the Stalker games that feel janky just to move around.
And it's not always in a bad way, but...
It's always not in a bad way. Final Fantasy 15, from the instant I got my hands on it,
to the instant we actually got to play it.
Also, yeah, by the way, fuck you, Final Fantasy 15, for asking us to play the tutorial and then just giving us a tutorial anyway again. Fuck that.
Yeah, no, why don't you just
put the tutorial in? Why fucking bother giving us a tutorial if you're gonna teach us everything again?
Yeah, what the fuck? We spent an hour on your stupid tutorial.
We spent like 40 minutes on the tutorial. And then the game is like, no, here's all the terms again though. And I'm like, why bother? Also, why would they have the gal to talk over Florence and the Machine's amazing cover of Stand By Me?
It's so good.
It's establishing moment, and they're just talking.
A bunch of bullshit. I forget. God, I forgot my point. That's
jank. But jank. The game feels jank. Eurojank.
It was before that.
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Also, there are no girls in this story.
There are only
but
two
what
girls.
about Luna Freya?
She exists as a plot device.
She's the MacGuffin.
And what's her name is booby material.
Cindy.
Cindy is boob material.
Sid's daughter. Or is it granddaughter? Whatever, who gives a fuck.
Doesn't matter.
And I know what I'm saying.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Like, the first moment we actually got to play the game is, like, it was already a bad thing.
Oh, fuck!
Because we didn't know we were playing yet and had to push the button. Or we didn't know how to play
No. It's when you get out of the car and
you have to push it.
And also, like, the game wants you to push it. And I walked up, knocked us up to the car, and then I pressed forward on the stick. And it didn't do anything. Do you know what button it was. I think it was like R2.
It was something, yeah, weird.
And it was, also the button prompts were fucking tiny on the TV, and our TV is not big.
No, our TV is like
it's
pretty
like
standard size, and it's it's horribly inaccessible because all of the subtitles are tiny.
Yeah, and
I'm wearing my glasses and I couldn't like read half of them.
And there are no settings to change them.
There's nothing. No.
And we just started media res. Hey there! Final Fantasy 15 hates us so much that it actually made the camera run out of batteries.
Yeah.
So we took a break, though our fury against 15 has not lessened at all.
It has no whatever. What's the phrase for that?
Dampened. Died down.
Yeah, our fury has
It's actually only grown stronger with the time. And one of the things I want to say about 15 that just bothers me is that the boys' designs are just so generic. We have a tall, quiet boy with glasses, short, kind of preppy, happy boy, big, tough, burly man, and Noctis who's nothing. And
let's not forget the real-life tie-ins that happened in Final Fantasy 15.
I'm okay with that shit. I'm okay with the cup noodles with the ultimate flavor experience. I'm fine with that. Because it's funny and it's stupid. I just, like, they're wearing generic character designs in, like, 10. For better or worse, Lulu's design was stupid, but it wasn't generic, though.
No, I'm not going to forgive.
Oh, the cup noodle?
No, the cup noodle is stupid, but whatever. The inclusion of Coleman, an American camping...
Fuck! I forgot about Coleman!
Coleman, an American camping brand...
Put the gun to my mouth. Just put the gun to my mouth. I can't.
It's okay, baby. We're okay.
Actually... We're not fighting. It's okay, baby.
I love you.
I hate this shit. How could I have forgotten that Coleman camping products exist
It's not even like a
Final Fantasy,
like a off-brand, like how anime does, like McDonald's or whatever. No, it's just Coleman camping.
That's stupid.
I hate it.
That is actually because are you saying that the American company Coleman exists in the world of? And you're like, but Max, don't think about it. No. Don't ask me to turn off. Like, if the key recommendation is turn off your brain to enjoy something, then that thing is inherently flawed and not good. So don't play Final Fantasy. Oh fuck! I actually put it in. Down.
We already put it down there. Yeah.
Listen. The game is. It was janky to play. Not
fun.
It felt impenetrable. It felt like the first time I played The Witcher on PC, and I was like, "How am I supposed to? What?"
And I remember when I played, I was doing shit that, like, you were like, oh, how'd you do that? And I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I was pressing the same button, and it would do weird different things, and it didn't make any sense, and I was just like, what the fuck is happening?
Also, I think it's very janky, the idea that you can just restore all of your MP by just climbing on walls. It's like, everybody knew, like, just climb up things, and then you'll get all your MP back.
What?
It feels exploited.
What was the point at which we were like, fuck this?
Oh, the point was, we were fighting a bunch of walls, and the characters were doing the cool kills, and Ignis, the guy with the glasses, was doing his magic knives thing, and then the camera spun around like 360 looking for the wolf, and then by the time the camera settled on Ignis throwing the knife, the wolf was already dead.
No, there was like a line that made us stop, and I can't remember what it was. It was something so stupid.
Line, I forget.
It's like, oh, we gotta go home now or something. Well, let's get back to the car.
Oh, no. Okay.
Do you remember?
It's them at the gas station. Yes! Prompto! They have stepped away from the car for 20 seconds.
Yes, that's
right. And Prompto's like, you think we're ever gonna see the car again? And I'm like, Prompto, it's right there!
Yeah, it's literally down the road.
It's right there!
That's right. It was right as we were leaving. We were just like,
you know what? Yeah.
Yeah,
no. Absolutely don't play.
I don't care
Jesus.
if the story gets better.
I actually do. Everyone I know says the story doesn't matter, which is not
That's not a good thing.
I don't
play Final Fantasy for the gameplay. I play
it. That is actually so true.
For the story.
Jesus.
That's why our superbs are great storytellers.
Combine the stories and the gameplay. Because a good story gets you to awesome. 7 has a good story. Or no, has good mechanics and a flawed story. Let's be real. The Talking Dolphin is not funny. No. And the other fucking shit is fine. It's fine.
Don't worry about it.
But then 6 and 10 combine both. And that's why we think they're superb. Now 15 is taken care of. Let's go through the side games real quickly.
Yeah, because this video has already been long enough.
First off, it's Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. I've played a bunch of Tactics. I never finished it, but everyone I know talks about it in a great, nice way. The story in it is super Game of Thronesy. with blooded people and royalty and the status and clashing different groups with gray morality. It's good stuff.
It goes very closely into 12 because it's very influenced.
Yeah, it's the same setting. It's actually the same setting. I think Tactics takes place in the future, which really hampers things because in that setting there are no Vera, there are no Chocobos. There are no Mughals.
Strange.
There are Chocobos. You can have a Chocobo in battle. It's stupid.
That's cool.
It has a class system. It's a tactics game. It's a classic. I like the PSP re-release.
Yento's trying to leave.
Should I let him out?
Yento. Hey.
I'm sorry I was yelling, baby. Final Fantasy 15 made me do it. Tactics, I think, consider because the PSP apparently everyone hits the PSP re-release and whatever. That has Belfier as a guest character, by the way. The
That's
PSP
okay.
re-release, but the PS1 is also good. I think it's actually just in retrospect, considering that it's an older game and a lot of things have come since. I think FFT is a basic Final Fantasy game. B tier. And no, I know. I think it's the bare minimum for a Final Fantasy game. Oh, you're gonna look up images so you can.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have gotten you images. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. We're almost there.
Kitty, do you have any experience with Final Fantasy Tactics?
Nope.
Has anyone ever talked about it? Have you ever seen it?
Just you.
Okay, listen. Let me actually Final Fantasy because the main character from Final Fantasy Tactics, Ramsa. Yeah, Ramsa is in the CDNT, and fucking Ramsa is so good. Jesus, they're so like gender neutral. I love Ramsa.
Oh, nice.
Ramsa is so good. How would you rate this game, Kitty, just on the protagonist alone?
Pretty good.
Pretty good, huh?
Cute. Cute. Yeah.
I love that Ramsa has this stupid bash. Simon Says squares on their chest.
Fair.
I love Ramsa because they're super gender neutral, and I love that. And they're actually a key to the story. They're not just like a side character with no story. They have dialogue. They're connected to other characters. It's good stuff. I think B. I don't think it's A. What
It's a little older.
I do think it's A tier, and I will die on this cross if I must. That came out really bad. I think Final Fantasy Tactics Advance is a leveled up version of Final Fantasy Tactics. It doesn't have the same dramatic Game of Thrones storyline,
Fair.
but it definitely has a story of its own. I found the gameplay in Tactics Advance way more interesting. The different races, the ability to modify the rules of the battlefield thanks to cards. You're fighting a bunch of black mages. Hey, guess what? Now the rule is that no one can use spells, and
Of course
suddenly
you like it. It's got cards in it.
yeah, it's true. It's got a card game system in it, and it's got a bunch of Final Fantasy races: the Mughals, the Vera, the Banga, and I forget the other guys, but whatever. Different races. I thought, especially the story was really cute. It's like a storybook story.
Cute.
Should I let the cat out?
He really wants to go out. He heard my dad in the kitchen.
Now, listen. I said I was willing to die on the cross for this, but if you want to mentally, just in your brain, if you want to change FFT and FFA TA places, that's fine. I think one of them is awesome. One of them is B tier. Whichever one you think it is, I'll leave that up to you. Kitty, now for a game we both played.
I played like 10
you 100%
minutes.
of this game. It's true. You got everything in Crystal Chronicles for the GameCube.
I played like 10 minutes, honestly.
Did you?
Yeah.
I beat it. I like it.
I wasn't fond of it.
I just wish it wasn't like 50 hours long. The final, when you finally make it to the final act and you understand what you've been doing the whole time, and the final boss actually, I don't want to say it because it's just, it deals a lot with memories and the whole playthrough. And I guess in a way you can't have this game not be 50 hours because if it was less than 50 hours, you wouldn't actually have forged the memories that you need
That's fair.
for the final boss fight. And I like the game. It was made by a completely different studio.
I think the thing that that drove me off it immediately is it's got that older style gameplay where it doesn't exactly like tell you where to go right
That's
away.
fair. Yeah,
And
that's fair.
And like call me a shitty casual, but I like games to handhold me. So
or at least okay.
at least tell me where to go.
The truth be told, the thing with FFC is that like it's almost supposed to be like a roguelike where you have a timer to get things done, but the game doesn't tell you where to go and what to do. And some things are actually like if you want to go into the Juke, which is the metal suit of armor people, if you want to go into their town, you need an item that you get from one of the nearby dungeons, and without it you can't go in. And it's an usable item. It's actually kind of dumb. I love the final boss fight. I love the music in this game. If you haven't already, check out the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles soundtrack. It's fantastic. The main theme is great, and the final boss theme is great. I like it. I do realize that it's barely Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
It really is barely Final Fantasy. It introduces some new races, which I really like.
That is cool. And they show up later in the MMO, right?
No, actually, Jukes never come back. And
I thought some of them
the tiny little dwarf
later,
people
finally.
don't come back. Actually, no. And the wild humans don't come back. None of these come back ever.
Oh.
They come back in maybe like some of the DS side games, but I liked it. It was an interesting, and the gameplay was fun, especially with multiplayer. But single player was also still pretty good. I will say that Crystal Chronicles is the bare minimum for a Final Fantasy game. Actually, no, it's true. It's close. It's close. You could have actually scrubbed all the Final Fantasy theming and it wouldn't be a Final Fantasy game. I have to be honest with myself about that. I love Crystal Chronicles. I beat it. I played as the tiny little people with the big-ass halberd. I loved it. It was fun. But truth be told, it might as well not be Final Fantasy at all.
Fair.
And now, we make it...
It's the most ambitious crossover
yeah! Dissidia! Dissidia was a compilation game that brought all of the main characters from the base Final Fantasy games.
All the main characters and
the antagonists into one game.
And then work together or not.
And it was a fighting game with a story and a deep-ass single-player content thing. And I'll say this right now. Done. Dissidia? Awesome.
8 tier.
Every character had their own story. There was a customization system with summonings. You got daily logins.
I remember always wanting to play this game, but because the PSP was not a very popular system in America, it was hard to get a hold of.
Yeah. Ironically, Plague and I each had a PSP. Is so dumb.
It's crazy. Well, we both have a Vita, and they're dead
we
in
both
America.
That's
they're
fair.
literally dead.
I will probably sometime do a playthrough of of Dissidia on probably an emulator or something. Just to make it easier to fucking play. I am grouping Dissidia with Duodecim, which was the re-release later on that included Lightning from 13, Yuna from 10,
And
Vaughn and Laguna from 8, which you could say is a better protagonist than Squall, but I'll let Erasos yell at me in the comments for that one. I almost feel like Erasos wouldn't fight that. It's like, yeah, no, Laguna's pretty cool.
That's fair.
He's so beautiful, Jesus. Oh yeah, I forgot to scratch this out, yeah.
And then Duodecim is good because it has the first game.
Fun fact, yeah, Duodecim is way better because it has the base game on it. And any game that has the previous game in it is already pretty good to begin with. You can play as the bad guys too. X-Death is pretty darn cool. All the characters play differently, and Duodecim has a turn-based mode.
Oh, cool. So you can play
you can actually
classic Final Fantasy style.
I mean, it's still an action game, and the battles look kind of like the battles in Advent Children, which is pretty cool. It's a good game. It actually, I think it's awesome. Unlike its recent follow-up.
The newest Final Fantasy game at the time of this recording. Dissidia NT.
NT for
not at all trying.
Not at all trying. It's a port of the arcade game. That came out in Japan and it was out there forever. It looks beautiful. It looks
good.
Whenever you're not actually playing it.
Then it looks like shit.
Yeah, the funny thing, and you're like, you haven't played it, I don't need to play it, I can tell from just looking at it.
We can tell
also,
from clips.
all the reviews that everyone I know is like, this game is flawed to the core. It's a 3-on-3 multiplayer game, a 3-person
3v3
lock-on fighting game. And if you think that isn't immediately a bad idea, it's actually a terrible idea. But you may be thinking to yourselves, okay, Maxi, it's a fighting game, but I'm not gonna... it's Final Fantasy, I want to play it for the story. The previous Dissidia game, you would go into like these dungeons and you would get story segments as you went along for every character, including the baddies. In NT, it's just cutscenes, and you have to buy them with the in-game currency from doing matches.
The cutscene stories.
You have to buy the cutscenes to see them.
You have to buy the story.
Also,
playing the game.
There's just arcade mode basically, and I think there's like a survival mode, but it's just like. Yeah, just go and play with 2 computers against 3 computers and just play.
Doesn't it cut you off, or am I thinking of Survive?
I think you're thinking of Survive. Okay. Another really bad game.
Another really bad multiplayer-based game.
I'm gonna just tell you right now, Dissidia NT is it actually stands for it's actually don't.
Don't.
Dissidia don't. It's really bad, and literally everyone I've seen play it, everyone that I know who has talked about it, has been like, this should be one-on-one. Because the noise, like, I watch it right now. You know what? A really good review is look up EC Allies, the CDNT. I watched the review. They're the guys who used to be part of game trailers, but now they're just EC Allies, their own group. Brandon Jones wrote and narrated that review, and his voice is fantastic.
He was the one who did the richest.
Yeah, that's him. He's got a great review voice, and his review of NT is perfect because it's just like the amount of visual noise when you have 6 characters fighting is overwhelming, and
it's not
and
good.
It just looks unappealing, especially when you have characters that all play differently, and there's all this. Also, it's only the protagonist in this version of the game, I think, unless I'm wrong. I think
that sounds correct.
I think so.
I think you don't get the antagonist.
I don't think so because I didn't see them in a single one of the goddamn videos.
I've not seen them.
Unless I'm wrong.
Could be DLC that they're gonna add in later.
Or maybe I am wrong, but whatever, it's fine. Like, the game looks pretty, but when you have 6 people fighting,
it's not.
Really hard to get an online match because you need 5 other people other than you. And let me tell you something, this game did not sell well, and
no, it's already like $20.
Yeah, and
you can already get it for like $20.
And the worst part is that you can't justify for single player because there isn't single player.
You fucked it.
Talking about other games that are a little bit fucked, we have one part of the Fabula Nova Crystallis series that was supposed to be Final Fantasy 13 plus Versus, which became 15, and Type Zero! High School!
Yeah.
I've heard good things about this game.
Show me the boys.
Oh, fuck, yeah. So, Final Fantasy Type Zero is a Final Fantasy game...
where most people bought the game to get the demo of 15. Woo!
Fuck, you're not wrong.
They sold that as that.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And Type Zero is immediately flawed. The remake doesn't actually, like, because it's a PSP game that was later remade for PS4, but it doesn't have anything else.
That's unfortunate.
And here's the main boy, who kind of reminds me of Kid.
Yeah, I could see.
Yeah, Kid
or like Dante.
Yeah, Kid could play. Look at all these characters, each with their own weapon that's different. Oh, look at
one's got a
character. Their character. Oh, he has guns.
I mean, at least there's a variety of characters. Of girls.
Yeah. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 girls to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boys.
Good job.
It's good. The game looks interesting. Everything that I've looked at, I watched reviews of it, and everyone is pretty much like, the game is okay, just meanders, and it forces you to replay the game twice to actually get the full story.
The full game twice? As opposed to, like, Nier style?
Yeah. Unlike Nier, it's actually...
the full game twice.
Yeah. Like, the way that everyone told me is that, like, the game ends with a cliffhanger, and in order to get the real answer, you have to play it again. And that's bullshit. Yeah. Unlike, Nier doesn't make you play the entire game.
It's just the second half.
Just the last 2 hours of the game, really.
The big chunk of the second half. It cuts out some of it.
I would put Type Zero don't.
Really?
Everyone's reviews that I watch is that, like, it feels like a chore. Also, it's a PSP game. Like, this a game that was originally designed to not have a second thumbstick. They fixed a bunch of those things, but, like, the game doesn't look appealing, and there's also really terrible Square Enix writing in here. It's a bunch of teenagers, like... Listen, I'm sorry if you're a Type Zero fan blog, the Tumblr.com, but listen. Now we have 3 more to go. And now we probably arrive at the greatest crossover of all time. Theatrhythm.
Yeah! Mobile version sucks, because you have to pay for every song.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Buy the DS or 3DS version.
Which are probably pretty cheap right now. And
I bought mine for $5.
What's Theatrhythm? It's a rhythm game.
It's a rhythm game with the music of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, and all the characters are cute little chibis, and you actually, like...
You battle?
You battle, even though you're just playing the rhythm game, but there's battle shown on screen. And I don't know if it has a canon story.
I don't think it does.
Or just a story at all.
I don't think so,
It's very cute. And I think...
It's cute, it's a good way to pass time.
Could you
if
say...
If the mobile version wasn't shit, it would be great on mobile. Like your iOS.
Are you saying this is the bare minimum to be a Final Fantasy game?
Yeah, it's got great music.
It came close. And I think it's the bare minimum.
I think it's the bare minimum.
It's got good music, yeah.
It's got good music, it's got all the characters in a cute new style, and it's a rhythm game, which is something they've never done before, so...
Nice.
Kudos.
Theatrhythm is good.
Yeah.
Also,
and the sequel, Curtain Call, which I think just has the songs from the first one in it too, and has more characters probably.
It's basically the game of the year, all the DLCs in it. I think there's other DLC you can get, but I want to just steal your copy because it's a good game.
It's fair, and I got it for $5, so
I would pay $5 for that.
I would pay $5 for that. The original receipt is still in it. It's really adorable.
Aww.
It's from like Illinois or something crazy.
Because we got it from GameStop.
I got it used, yeah. So
Illinois.
It's from like somewhere.
We know someone from Illinois.
We do.
Now, talk about something we don't know. Actually, we do know. The disappointment of something that sounds interesting, but it's not. World of Final Fantasy.
We're adding the, but don't worry about it.
World of Final Fantasy.
Listen, that game looked interesting until I saw somebody playing it, and then I'm like, oh no.
So World of Final Fantasy is the greatest crossover event of our time.
We're gonna say that about the next thing too. Jesus Christ, this meme is good.
This meme is good. By the time this goes up, that meme is dead.
Good. That's fine.
So, it's an RPG set in a world. It's basically a side Final Fantasy game for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, I forgot that basically Bravely Default should be on this list, but fuck.
It's
Shut
fine.
up.
It's its own series
It's not
now.
Final Fantasy.
It's its own series, so it's fine now. It's okay.
Now.
Now, the thing with...
you mind if I just take this real quick?
Go for it.
I have something I want to say. There's a whole market in gaming that basically deals with getting people to spend their money on something simply because it's recognizable. And that's why reviews are very important. Because without a review, without the ability to watch someone else, or Let's Plays, I actually really value Let's Plays as a way to analyze whether I would like a game or not.
review.
Like, listen, Metal Gear Survive, the first impressions I got from the beta were awful. Like, fucking 0 out of 10, fuck this game forever. But actually watching someone play actually made me kind of interested in it. And watching someone play World of Final Fantasy and watch reviews actually highlighted, Jesus Christ, how bad that is! Jesus!
And like, it's not just the lame voice acting, the lame characters, and the kind of lame story
the
that
strange
you kind of get.
juxtaposition of real life-size people and tiny people.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. Like, is that...
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That they use the theatrhythm-style chibis,
Yeah.
but juxtaposed with, like, Kingdom Hearts style, like, human-sized.
Yeah.
And it's very strange, and I don't know if there's a story reason, but it really looks really bad.
The main mechanic of that game is that you stack people like Tsum Tsums. So you have and you usually play as monsters or DLC. So you can have like a Malboros on the bottom, a big Malboros, and then like a Chocobo, and then on top is like tiny lightning. And that stack, they're called stacks, like do more damage together and stuff like that. And well, that's interesting. You have like a Pokemon-style Final Fantasy game. The main crux on all the reviews that I saw is that the game is fucking long. It's really long with, like, you know those segments in 12 that we were talking about were just killing monsters?
That's half the game.
WFF has so much of that like the game drags on and the story doesn't hold you, and
the voice acting just annoys the shit out of you.
And the core gameplay, like, although you may be thinking to yourselves that, oh, I want to capture as many as I can, you usually just, since you can only level up so many at a time, you end up doing the Pokemon thing where you just kind of grab one and you just hold on to them, and guess what? Malboro's gonna be at the bottom of my stack forever, get wrecked. And I don't know, like, it looks cute, but like, unless...
I will pick it up for $10.
Or less than
or
that.
less.
Because, like, everyone I know who talked about it is like, this drags on forever.
It's, no.
Like this video!
Heyo. That's okay.
And now we have the greatest crossover...
Wait, where are we putting?
Oh, never.
Yeah, fair.
World
or
of
don't.
Final Fantasy. Yeah, don't.
And then we have the character, so don't even get me started on the character.
I think I have an idea, but we'll see if you disagree with my judgment right now. Okay. The greatest crossover event of our history.
The most ambitious crossover event in history.
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts as a series, because fuck going individually in those games. That could be its own tier list, except they're all shit.
I'm gonna just come out and say this right now.
Okay.
Don't.
Yeah.
Because it's not Final Fantasy.
It's not worth it. Also.
And you may think to yourselves, but Max,
it's
there are Final Fantasy characters only in the first one, and there's a little bit on the second one.
They come back, but...
are there any in 3? Have they shown any Final Fantasy characters in 3?
I think so.
The main issue is that the elevator pitch was, what if Disney and Squaresoft made a game together about Disney characters coming together with Final Fantasy characters, and while the Disney part of that facet was successful, the Final Fantasy one was an absolute complete aberration failure.
Yeah.
You have stupid things. Why does Squall call himself Leon? Because his last name is Leonhardt.
Are
you Leonhardt now? And he looks different. And then Cloud is once again reset to being a sad person.
Why are Yuna, Riku, and Pain pixies in the second game? Why are they small and fly around? What the fuck is happening? Tifa's not in this. I'm thinking Yuffie. Yuffie has more screen time in this than her game.
Yuffie got more screen time in Kingdom Hearts than she did in FF7. And I know that's not true because of the Ninja Village, but cutscene time! How about that? There is more Yuffie screen time in Dirge of Cerberus and Kingdom Hearts than in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. Also, as a series, it's just fucking convoluted and we've been waiting. If you've been a fan since the original, you've been waiting like over 12, 15 years to get the conclusion of this convoluted as fuck story.
There will never be a conclusion, Kitty. They can always come up with more stupid shit.
It's true.
Because they love making money.
They love making money and disappointing their fans.
That's actually the thing where, like, that's bothered me with 15, is that, like, they just keep making more DLC for 15.
Instead of working on the new thing.
Yeah.
That's the problem with a lot of games and movie industry. A lot of media at this point in general is, like, remake the old or, do a sequel as opposed to making something new and original.
And listen, that's nice. If you like 15, then you're living the time of your life because you're willing to spend money to just get a character's story, even though you should actually be able to know that story in the game. But whatever, it's fine. I'm fine. I'm not angry. You're angry. If you're fine with that, that's fine. But when you don't like that thing, you're like, oh god, when are you gonna do another RPG that's, I don't know. And this has one girl in it. And I know there's a playable girl in 15, I know. But that's not the same as a main girl in this, whatever, it's fine.
And also, I mean, you could compare this if you don't like 13, you could have compared it to 13's multiple sequels.
That's fair.
Where it was like, oh, we're getting 13 versus, oh, I thought we were done with 13. But and then it just turned into 15, but it's fine. Yeah. But like, the problem is, like...
She meant Lightning Returns, by the way. Because Final Fantasy Versus was original what 15 was.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 13 Versus.
I misunderstood you!
Yeah, 13 Versus.
Oh, shit. I'm wrong.
It was like the planned fourth game, and then, like... Yeah. And then everyone was like, please... We're done. We're done waiting another 12 years for this shit. Yeah. It wasn't 12 years, it was like 6.
I really wish they made shorter games more often.
Honestly...
The game doesn't have to be 50 hours, like, Jesus Christ.
Well, Square Enix is doing other stuff right now, which I appreciate. Yeah, they do a lot of publications right now. They publish Life is Strange, and without them, it would have never come to the West.
That's fair.
It would have never left Europe.
Or just existed entirely.
Yeah, or
that's fair.
Like, they do a lot, and they're making more classic-style RPGs, Bravely Default, Octopath Traveler, I'm super interested in.
That's fair.
So,
fair.
Final Fantasy is kind of on the back burner.
Final Fantasy's dead. You're right, Kitty.
It's on the back... Where'd you put it there?
Oh, you want to go back to the comment? Okay, I put Kingdom Hearts as came close.
You said don't.
Did I say don't?
You said don't.
I actually put it... I mean, it's an RPG.
If you're playing it for Final Fantasy,
no, you know what? You're... Fuck, I just got blown up live on stream. Kingdom Hearts is not a Final Fantasy game. You're right. Jesus.
It's a Square Enix game. That has Final Fantasy and Disney characters in it.
Parasite Eve is more of a Final Fantasy game than Kingdom Hearts is. Just let that sink in. But Max, you can fight Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts.
I actually
don't care.
I don't give a shit.
You can fight the CEO of Square Enix in Nier Automata as DLC.
Now that's okay.
That's actually fucking love Yoko Taro. No, Yoko Taro gives me hope.
Yoko Taro makes better Final Fantasy games than Final Fantasy.
So once again to review, Kingdom Hearts sucks, and if you like it, you're dumb. We actually don't mean that.
But if you pay us a lot of money, we'll eventually play it.
Oh, that's actually one of the goals on our Patreon.
It's the last goal at the moment.
Yeah, I can't believe that's after Undertale. Like
yes.
Oh, that's stupid. We should charge more. I don't want to play Undertale.
You'd rather play Kingdom Hearts?
Oh, fuck, you're right. That's terrible. The Gummy Ship is the best part of Kingdom Hearts 1, and if you disagree, fight me.
And then they removed it in 2.
And then they changed it! The Gummy Ship was the best part. I love the Gummy Ship. I would like a whole game that's just the Gummy Ship. Money. I'm throwing money at you.
Kingdom Hearts doesn't need your money. They don't give a shit.
So once again, let's review, because we've been here for almost an hour and a half. So let's go.
It's been like 2 hours.
The games in the Final Fantasy library that we think that are rank D for don't play them are
Crisis Core.
Crisis Core. I thought it was Crystal Chronicles. Jesus.
No, that's that one.
Crisis Core, Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy 11, Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy Dissidia NT, Type 0.
Type 0. And what is that one? Oh, World of Final Fantasy.
World of Final Fantasy. And Kingdom Hearts, which brings us to rank C for Game Close, as in Final Fantasy II, Final Fantasy V, Final Fantasy XIV, and Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which takes us to rank B for bare minimum of a Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy I, the standard. Final Fantasy III, a nice little bit of a level up. Final Fantasy VIII is still pretty Final Fantasy, though not excelling in other fields like 7 or 9. Final Fantasy Tactics, what was Final Fantasy Tactics?
It's up more.
And Theater Rhythm for a bare Final Fantasy game. I know it's a rhythm game and not an RPG, but it's got so much Final Fantasy in it, though.
It's literally all about Final Fantasy.
For rank A, that's awesome. We have Final Fantasy 4, 7, 9, 10, 2, 12, 13, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, and Dissidia Duodecim. Which brings us to, or only to, superb rank S, with 6 and 10.
Yanto, really? He's scratching at the door.
I just realized that, like, the battle between 6 and 7 is, like, the most hard...
That's a hard-fought battle, honestly.
Yeah.
Come in!
People have died, Kitty.
People have died on that hill.
Over this. That's a bloody-ass hill where people have surrendered their lives for the good of saying that Cloud sucks and that he wouldn't beat Goku in a fight. And you know what? That's fine. You know?
You know what? Smash Switch could change this.
Oh fuck! Where does Smash Brothers fits into all this? I wonder.
It doesn't.
Why would? You're.
If they, because I've heard people telling Nintendo to add Dragon Ball Z fighters fighters.
Stupid. That is the stupidest thing. That is the stupidest thing.
Is it the most ambitious crossover ever, where Solid Snake appears in the Brawl and Sonic?
I can't believe Sonic is not in the later games.
No, he's just in Brawl.
I almost feel
it was mind blowing when that happened. Do you not understand the whole community?
It almost didn't happen. It almost didn't happen. It almost didn't happen. Like weeks leading to the release, they were like, okay, like if we don't get the good to go sign, we just disable him in the menu.
Yeah.
No. Smash.
The most ambitious crossover event in history.
No, Dango Duo is the most ambitious crossover event in history because we have crossed over all the Final Fantasies together into a tier list that will stand the test of time.
Maybe.
Future civilizations will find this video and proclaim proudly, this is the most important analysis of media in the history of whatever these people were.
Whatever the fuck these nerds were.
These charred remains. These charred bones. They sure knew how to make a video. Yeah. Hey there, everybody. Did your favorite Final Fantasy make it? No. Eros is like bare minimum.
Which one's Eros' favorite?
8.
Oh, right.
He likes 8. I don't know if it's his favorite.
Fair.
Listen, what I want you to get out of this today is that
opinions are all subjective.
And we are irrelevant YouTubers, and our opinion does not matter.
It doesn't really matter.
Except when it comes to 15, in which case we're right and you're wrong. It's just true.
Stop objectifying women.
Cinder's design is so bad. Jesus. It's like you want to have the cake and eat it too. Like, you want to cater to boys, but also cater to, like...
You want to ogle the cake and then fuck it too.
You ever just witness something, I'm like, that's a leveled up version. Fuck the eating the cake and having it too. You want to look at the cake and also fuck it. Dango Duo 2018. Hey there.
Hi.
Did you enjoy these almost 2 hours of rambling about Final Fantasy? Have you learned more about yourself? Have you come out of this a better person? If so, we will take your money.
Yes.
Over
Please give us your money.
Patron.com/ Please, sir, it's cold here out.
Can I have another cat?
Another cat? No, you cannot have another cat.
Hi.
You cannot have another cat, Kitty.
But no.
No,
he's already destructive enough as is.
He's too powerful as it is.
It's true.
If you enjoy our content, Patreon.com/Dango Duo. Fuck!
Yeah, I know.
Fuck! Oh no, Kitty, what are we gonna... Patreon.com/Dango Duo is the number one place to if you want to support us. You can pledge as little as $1 a month, and that actually helps us create more content. YouTube has turned off monetization on all of our videos because we have less than 1,000 subscribers. We're crushing that view hours. Mm-hmm. We're crushing it because you guys watch our stuff, and thank you for that. But we just, arbitrary number, can't make money.
Yep.
Patreon would mean a lot to us. You get to vote on monthly polls.
Like this one. See it super early.
Yeah, and get to watch it early. It would mean the world to us. Except... now that we insulted your favorite game, which happened to be fucking
Final Fantasy 15.
Theatrhythm. Actually, no. World of
Final Fantasy.
What fucking kid grew up in World of Final Fantasy? Okay,
very poor, unfortunate.
World of Final Fantasy.
A poor, unfortunate soul.
Where's that? Is that fucking
Little
Prince
Mermaid.
of Egypt? Okay. I'm like, it's either Prince of Egypt or Aladdin.
It's Little Mermaid. It was
I
neither.
can show. Oh no, that's how we started the other video. Oh Jesus.
Oh yeah.
Shining, shimmering, splendid. Kitty, I'm buying time. Please think of next month's poll. I beg of you. Please make a poll.
Yanto's in the trash.
He loves being in the trash.
He's a trash baby. We have no idea what to do for next month.
Am I gonna put it on the screen? Are we? Hey, if you go right now to patreon.com/Dango Duo and vote on our newest poll, you can. The options are on screen right now. We haven't thought about it. Hopefully, it'll be something good.
It's been a shitty month personally for me.
Yeah, we haven't.
I've been sleeping the times I'm not working, so.
I mean, that's not entirely true.
Mm-hmm.
You've also been playing games.
I have not been sleeping well
recharging.
either. Is the other problem.
It's okay. It's okay. Come over here, Jesus.
Okay.
It's okay, babe.
It's fine.
It's okay. I'm buying time for Max from the future to just type something on the screen.
Fair.
Jesus. The themes are on screen right now. You can go to patreon.com/Dango Duo, pledge $1. Just one. You think $1 is not a lot? The small, consistent donations mean the most to us.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who runs another Patreon for my Writing Advice channel, that actually makes for the biggest bulk. So, again, pledge $1 for just 1 month.
And we'll insult your favorite game series.
I don't know if we're doing that. I don't know what we're doing. Maybe
it
involves you suffering. Wouldn't that be great for the month of your birthday?
For my birthday month.
Yeah.
Your birthday month was me suffering.
Was it? Mm. Oh, fuck, it was.
Jeez, I was both of us suffering, so.
Exocycle was bad. Hey there. Oh, fuck, we have to do the shoutouts. Shit, you can go vote.
Oh, we have Twitters also?
Oh, we have Twitters.
Jesus, this is completely unorganized because we have no idea what we're doing, apparently.
We have no idea what we're doing. Hey there,
I say
everybody.
Apparently, but
Patreon.
that's very apparent.
We also have an Amazon wish list. If you don't want to pledge to Patreon, but you want to get us something and get us to do something else, as always, the easiest way to bribe us is just to bribe us outright. If there's something on that Amazon wish list that you want to get us, but it's not on the list,
let me know.
Let us know in the comments down below and Kitty will add it.
Yeah.
Please
I'll figure out how to.
Someone buy. It's gonna be too late. I want someone to buy me Gundam build breakers. But it's gonna be too late by that time. It's fine. Hey there. How you all doing?
We gotta give shoutouts.
Oh shit! This video is brought to you thanks to the support of the following patrons:
Amelia,
Angela,
Erizos,
Lear,
Luna,
and Victoria.
There. Now we can end.
Now we can end this suffering.
And I can get my boy out of the trash. He is in the. He is literally in the trash can right now.
I can't believe you guys would rate Final Fantasy 1 as B. I can't believe you guys would rate Final Fantasy 10 as anything less than 10 out of 10. 5 stars forever. Cloud is my
You
spirit
said 10.
animal. Did I say 7? I meant 10.
You said 10, you meant 7. It's been a long video. And then we recorded a long video in the middle of this one.
We ran out of battery, so we recorded another video.
And now we gotta record another video with the camera, so hopefully the battery lasts.
Dango Duo.
Professional has not bought another battery for this camera. It's on me. It's fine.
We out!
We out. I'm gonna go rescue my cat from the trash. The literal trash.